Yes, case number 333 on the calendar. Sorry, 335 on the calendar. The matter of Dotson versus Harrison.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Ms. Dotson, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant used to be a boyfriend of yours. He is no longer a boyfriend of yours, but you claim that after you had already broken up, he vandalized your car on 2 separate occasions. Mr. Harrison says that he did no such thing. When did you end your relationship with him?
Approximately around July 15th of 2005.
How long had you been together?
Approximately about a year and a half.
Did you ever live together?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
Approximately a year.
Did you live in your house or his house?
My home.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my children.
How old are your children?
I have a 9-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
When did he move out?
Probably around June of 2005. And
why?
It wasn't working. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I felt like life was taking me in other directions, and I felt like I couldn't do all the things I needed to with him. He was becoming very controlling, very possessive.
Was he working when he moved in with you?
Yes, he was.
Did he remain employed during the year that he lived there?
No.
He did not?
He did not.
When did he lose his job?
Approximately 4 months after we lived together.
Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a full-time student at IUSB, and I also tutor at Jackson Middle School.
Okay. When was the first incident of your car being vandalized?
September 15th.
Tell me what happened.
That day I actually had surgery at St. Joe Medical Center, and after that my friend Christine, she's right here, her and I and Jesse Harrison, we all went to my friend Heather's house.
How did he get involved with you on that day if you had broken up 2 months before?
I called him from my home and I told him that I was having surgery that day, and he asked me if I wanted him to come to the hospital. And I told him I didn't care, but inside I felt like I needed him for support. He's been my main support person. And then when I was at the hospital and they were taking me to the pre-op, he showed up.
Did he drive you home?
No.
Who took you home?
Christine drove her car, and she drove me and her to Heather's, and he drove my truck. And when I left the hospital, I was upset that he was driving my truck. I did not want him to do that because he has no license. And when we got to Heather's house, we had this argument, and he got mad at me because I didn't want him to drive the truck. And he said, well, I was there for you at the hospital. And I told him, you didn't have to be there for me at the hospital. I had somebody else who could have been.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Shh. Come back to you. Go ahead.
And at that point, he just yelled, and these were his words verbatim. He said, who, Petey? And then he kicked my truck and threw a flower pot at it. And then he ran between 2 houses, and that's when I saw an officer on a bike. And I stopped him, and he made a police report for me.
Okay. When was the next time that your car was vandalized?
The next accident was on the 16th of September, 2005.
Go ahead.
Again, at that time, I was still under medication for my surgery. My doctor told me that I needed to do bed rest for a week. At that time, I went over to my friend Christine's house. Jesse was there, and...
How did he get there?
He drove me.
So you called him again?
I had to take my
kids. Just a second. So after you saw him kick your truck and throw a flower pot at it and report it to the police, you called him again to pick you up?
Your Honor.
Just a second. Is that what you're telling me? Don't give me an excuse. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
When had you called him?
You know, I'm not...
That morning? The evening after? When?
I think it was the next morning.
Where were your children?
My children were at my friend Christine's house. I needed to take them some supplies, and I wasn't allowed to drive.
So you called him and said what?
I asked him if he could take me to take Christine some supplies.
And what did he say?
Yes.
You didn't say to him, I reported you to the police yesterday?
No, he knew. He saw the police. Why he was running.
No, it's not true.
He doesn't know how the police got there, madam. I'm asking you whether you told him that you had called the police the day before.
No, I did not tell him that I called the police the day before.
You just said, do me a favor, pick me up and take me over. How was he supposed to pick you up and take you over to Christine's house?
I asked him to take me in my truck.
You asked him to drive?
Yes.
So it was okay for him to drive without a license when you asked him to, but you were annoyed that he drove without a license the day before?
The day before, I did not feel comfortable being with him.
That's not my question. You told me a moment ago, madam, that the day before you had an argument with him because you didn't want him to drive your car because he didn't have a license. That's what you told me. But the next day, because you needed to use him for something else, you told him to come to your house, pick you up, use your car, and take you to your friend Christine's house.
That is correct. My children needed supplies.
They needed water?
Diapers.
Is she incapable?
She had 5 kids at her house at that time, and she couldn't leave.
License, diapers. license, diapers. You used him. Mr. Harrison, after you went back over there, her car was vandalized again, sir. Were you angry on both of those occasions?
No, I didn't. I wasn't angry. It's just that she was just running her mouth, or she wanted to go in the house, and I didn't want to stay there.
Why don't you work?
I was working for her brother, detailing cars at his car lot, until she came up there starting trouble. And now I just go from car lot time to time and detail cars.
Is that how you support yourself?
That's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
true.
What does he do?
Actually, he was working for my brother, and he got fired from my brother's car lot because he was being obsessive and controlling, and my brother didn't want to be a part of it. At this time, he doesn't go from car lot to car lot detailing.
Yeah.
He does not do that. He
that's
frequently
not true.
sells stereos.
Ms. Dotson, although it looks to me as if butter would melt in your mouth and that you're a very intelligent woman, you're also a user. You used him like a rubber band. You say, get out, then come back, come to the hospital, I need your support, don't use my truck. Well, today you can't use my truck, tomorrow you can use my truck because I have to go someplace. And what I'm telling you is you can't toy with somebody's emotions like that. That's unacceptable behavior for an adult.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I need you. Now I'm finished with you. I need you again. Now I'm finished with you. That's cruel.
And later today,
The counselor asked me if I loved her, and I said yes. And did she love me? And she said she didn't know. And I wanted this relationship to last. She was very important to me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tara Dotson says her ex-boyfriend, Jesse Harrison, owes for kicking her truck. Jesse says Tara got him fired from his job.
Madam, if you needed somebody additionally to give you moral support in the hospital and you had already kicked him out of your house, you don't call him again for the day.
Well, Your Honor, my mom is deceased. My best friend was watching my kids. Who else loves me? I know he does.
Just a second. Well, that's using him. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. He loves you, but you don't love him. So if what you're doing is toying with his emotions, because you're saying, I need you.
Your Honor, I did.
Let's just listen. I need you. Now I'm finished with you. I need you again. Now I'm finished with you. That's cruel. And if what you're telling me is he loves you, and you know that, that makes you even the more cruel. You get me? What year is your truck?
My truck is in 1998.
And you have pictures of the damage that he did to your truck?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. And your brother has a body repair shop?
No, actually, my brother has a car lot. He sells
Car
used
lot.
cars.
Does he also repair cars?
No.
No. That's too bad. Well, I get some stuff there to detail it a little bit. And you could probably get that dent pulled out by somebody for a couple of $100. Nowhere near $1,700. Miss Dotson, you have to learn to be a nicer person, madam.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff. Not for $1,700, for $300. Get your car fixed for that. That's all. Step out.
Excuse, you may step out.
She kept calling me. I wasn't even with her. She kept calling me, asking me to do stuff for her, and I wasn't with her, you know, maybe because wasn't nobody else paying no attention to her.
There was nobody else who could take me where I needed to go.
And I still loved her, but I guess I got down wrong in the end.
In my mind, it wasn't about using him. It was about needing to get my kids what they needed, and I knew he would help.
Only for our kids, you know.
I'm not going to call him.
Man, she too crazy for me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barch versus Jones. Step forward, please.
Robert Burridge is suing his ex-fiancée, Carla Jones, for money loaned and forged checks. Carla is countersuing, claiming Robert made false accusations to her probation officer.
Mr. Barch, Miss Jones used to be your living girlfriend,
She was my fiancée.
and according to your complaint, she owes you some money. First for a loan, for insurance, well over a year ago. And then you claim that at some point she forged some checks,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you claim she's got some of your personal property.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Jones says none of them were loans. She did, in fact, sign your name to checks. You knew about that. You did not report those forged checks, according to you, when you found out about them, but you continued to live together as a couple. But when you broke up, you, according to you, called her parole officer. You're on parole for something?
I'm off now.
And you called her parole officer to report the forged checks. Is that right?
Yes.
Why'd you do that for?
Because she was forging checks while on parole, and
No, look at me, look at me.
It was a violation.
Let's get a timeline.
It's a violation.
Mr. Barish, listen to me. Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking.
Excuse me.
According to you, it was in October of 2004 that you found out that she had signed your name to some checks.
Yes.
How much in total were the checks that she signed?
$2,900.
And what were they for?
They were made out to her, signed by her, and cashed by her, and deposited to her account.
Okay. Now, when did you find out about these checks? So was that in October?
It was after she moved out in October.
So after you found out about these forged checks, how long did it take you to call her parole officer?
It took me until March of 2005.
Okay. Let's go. Checks, $2,900 worth.
No, nothing was stolen from him. No forged checks. We would pay our bills together. I would tally up how much utilities were or groceries, and I'd say, I need X amount of dollars. And he'd say, okay, go ahead and get a check, write it for that, deposit it in there, and pay the bills. And I'd
deposit it where?
Into my checking account. I'd always call him at work, or he would be home when we did it, and he would say, go put that in your checking account and then pay the bills, because I paid everything online.
What do you want parole for? Anything to do with checks?
I'm not on parole. I was on probation.
Probation, anything having to do with checks?
No, it was for a DUI.
Oh. How long were you living together?
About 2.5 years.
Who paid the bills, sir?
The arrangement was that I paid the rent because it was a considerable amount of money, and she picked up the tab for the utilities and the food.
What precipitated your leaving in October of 2004?
Well, the relationship was kind of going sour, and in August of 2004, we had been going to some counseling to see if we could work through some of the issues. And I realized in my heart that it just wasn't going to work out for me, that I wasn't going to be able to go through with the relationship. And of course, he was very upset. And I told him at the end of the lease, which was November 1st of 2004, that I'd be moving out by then and getting my own place.
Robert Barich says ex-fiancée Carla Jones stole money by forging his checks. Carla is countersuing, claiming Robert made false accusations to her probation officer.
Okay. When for the first time, Ms. Jones, did the plaintiff confront you about these checks?
Towards the end of the year after I had moved out. We were still talking to each other, and he would come over sometimes on the weekends, and I just felt really sorry for him.
Just tell me what he said to you about the checks.
He called me on the phone close to Christmas. I said I didn't want to see him anymore. I said, I don't want you coming over anymore. I don't want to see you at all. It's done. I don't even want to be friends with you. And that's when he threatened he was going to go to the police station and tell them that I forged these checks while we were together. And I said, you know, that's a lie. How can you go tell a lie like that? And he says, I can say whatever I want. And then in March, I finally just told him, I said, I can't see you anymore. We're kind of seeing each other on and off, on and off. Well, he told me he was going to go to the police and do this. So I guess the next day, which was March 14th.
So the first time he spoke to you about it was in December of 2004.
Threatening to do this.
On what date did you contact her probation officer?
It was the 15th of March.
What happened between December and March, sir?
I was investigating the
You already knew about it, and you confronted her with them. And if you had been concerned that she had forged your name to checks and you felt that it was the right thing to do to notify her probation officer, why didn't you do it in December or January or February?
I was hesitant. I wanted the relationship to go on. During the counseling sessions, the counselor asked me if I loved her, and I said yes. And the counselor asked her, did she love me? And she said she didn't know. And the counselor said, did you love him when you took that engagement ring? And she said, I don't know. And I wanted this relationship to last. It was very important to me. She was very important to me. And I figured that the less waves, the better the chances of the relationship working.
But it didn't work, sir.
It didn't, no, it didn't work.
It didn't work. And the response to it not working is not to behave in a retaliatory way.
That's right.
The response to it not working is say, you went to counseling, she didn't deceive you. She said, we'll go to counseling, we'll see if we can get it to work. And she was being honest. She said, I don't know my feelings. She wasn't trying to be hurtful. If she wanted to be hurtful, she wouldn't have gone to counseling with you.
She deceived me when she accepted the engagement ring.
No, you know, you're talking about there's hard evidence and then there's soft evidence. You know, the divorce rate in this country is 52%. Now, all of those people who divorce, when they sit back you know, a year later, 6 months later, 5 years later, they say, gee, I wonder if I really loved him. I wonder if I really loved her when I walked down the aisle. You know, or was it something else? It was, you got to get married, or, you know, I fell in love with the beautiful face, or I fell in love with the bank account, whatever it was. Was it really him? I'm really not sure. You know, I really don't know in my heart anymore. That's what people say to themselves.
It was the bank account.
Well, it's all a package. You know, she's an attractive lady, right?
Yes, she is.
She's a very attractive lady, well-spoken. Do you think that if she was an unattractive lady and not well-spoken, you would have been attracted to her? No. You may have gotten to know her better and said, gee, she's got a wonderful soul. But what attracted you to her initially was she's a pretty lady, she seems intelligent, and she's well-spoken, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Part of your package is that you had some dough. That's it. You just have to accept that. And you know, I'm not such a genius that I figured this out myself, because Donald Trump's wife was interviewed recently, and they said to her, would you be married to him if he wasn't Donald Trump, if he wasn't a multimillionaire, if he wasn't who he is? And she said, you think he'd be married to me if I didn't look like this? Do yourself a big favor. Put a period. It didn't work out. You both gave it your best shot. You should not have called a probation officer. It was a nasty thing to do. And you should not have waited to see the result of this counseling before you decided that what she did was criminal, because then I find your motives suspect.
The reason we actually separated was in August. I told her that her drinking had become a problem, and if she didn't stop drinking, we were not going to renew the lease and live together.
But even after that, you went to counseling with her, because according to you, you loved her.
I did love her.
What I'm telling you is, it didn't work out. That's very sad. Looks like a nice guy. I hope you find another nice one.
She's engaged to another guy already.
Well, then you should look up and say, thank you, God, I didn't make a mistake. Right? Instead of suing her. The case is dismissed, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. White versus Rundell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. White, you and the defendant lived together, according to the complaint that I've read, for a period of time. And it is your claim that during that time you made a loan to her in the amount of $5,000 as a retainer for an attorney, because she was having some legal problems. The defendant says that while she acknowledges that you wired the money into a joint bank account that you had for the attorney, that money was paid back, because all that money that was in the joint bank account was put in by both of you subsequently. So the money was repaid.
In my opinion, yes, it was.
When did you start living together, Mr. White?
We started living together in April of '04.
How long had you known each other before you moved in together?
I knew of her approximately a year prior to that.
What does that mean?
Well, I was best friends with her brother, and basically met her through her brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you moved in together in April of 2004, did you move into her place, your place, or a mutual place?
My place.
And, Your Honor, it was July of '04.
She's probably right, Mr. White.
Yeah, we had a birthday party for me in April, so yeah, then it was shortly after that. That's correct.
What was the financial arrangement when she moved into your house?
Financial arrangement? We really didn't establish any. I paid my bills and she paid her bills. She did insist that she put her check into my checking account. That didn't have anything to do with this particular item.
Just a second.
Yeah.
She put her paycheck into your checking account.
That's correct.
How much was your paycheck, Ms. Rundell?
$16.88 a month. And it was not a joint checking account. It was his checking account. I did not have access to that account in any way.
When did you make your first deposit into his checking account of $16.88?
I believe it would have been the month of July. I moved in roughly maybe the second week in July after we'd returned from vacation.
So let's be on the safe side. Let's say August.
That would be safe to say.
And how many months did you put your paycheck into that joint account?
Every month.
Until when?
Until January. My paychecks ended in January. Unemployment
August,
started.
September, October, November, December. 5 months.
And January.
And January.
Correct.
So it's 6 months, and that's easily verifiable by looking at your bank statement.
No, I don't agree with her putting that much money in there. She didn't have any credit, so she was using my bank to cash her checks. I wasn't aware that she was putting that money into my checking account every time.
This is a savings account statement right here. I could have put it in my savings had I been allowed to. This shows that There was no money that went into this account until a tax return was automatically deposited in the month of March.
Do you have your bank statement, sir?
No, ma'am, I don't. I just have a check that I had wrote her. I didn't even know she had a savings account.
Oh, I don't care whether
Yeah.
you knew she had a savings account
Okay.
or not, sir. You get a checking account statement every month.
Correct.
And every month you would see a deposit in there.
Right.
And that deposit would not be your deposit. I mean, we know what our
Correct.
deposits are. So she
Correct.
was depositing her check into your account. And that account would also show certain withdrawals if she was using your checking account as merely just a revolving door for her money. She was putting it in
Right.
and cashing it.
She was putting her check into my checking account during the beginning of her stay at my place, and then we were using my check to write checks for all the bills.
It was not in name a joint account, but it was a joint account because that money was being used to pay joint bills.
Correct.
$16.88 per month.
Correct.
Are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us assume everything that you say is correct. That for 6 months you put in $16.88 a month.
Yes.
That comes to $10,128. Now, why did you need an attorney?
I had filed a police report as a mandatory reporter with the police department there locally where I live.
Is it a criminal matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the matter still pending?
Yes, ma'am.
And you retained a private attorney?
Correct.
And you discussed that with Mr. White?
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, I had no knowledge of her making this report.
I don't care about the
Okay.
substance of the case.
Okay.
The need for an attorney, something else.
Correct. We did discuss the need for an attorney, and it was important that she hired a good one for this situation.
So what did you say to her?
So we made arrangements to lend her $5,000 off my credit card.
That's a conclusion, sir.
We had talked about this and discussed we needed to retain $5,000 for this attorney, and we decided to take this off of a credit card that I have. I had no credit card debts at all. One of the qualities she talked about with me is that I wasn't in any debt. This was a special occasion that I needed to help her out on, so I decided to take a credit card, dump the credit card into my checking account, and give her a check on November 28th for $5,000. She told me when she got her income tax that she would give me half of it in one lump sum and make payments on the rest, and I was fine with that.
That is not true.
Well, tell me what the discussion was, Ms. Rundell.
The discussion, there was never a discussion around the credit card, just like there wasn't a discussion about how we were going to pay our bills when the money was lumped together in the checking account. What we had discussed on many different occasions was how we were going to use the money wisely. This chunk of money, which would have been around $6,000 for the tax return, what were we going to do with it?
You were going to
many
pay me
different.
half that.
I was talking. On many different occasions, we talked about different things. We talked about we would take a trip, but not too far. Didn't want to spend too much money. We talked about paying a big chunk of it to Bank One credit card, which the attorney came off of. We also talked about paying off his Washington state unemployment money that he still owed when I moved in was $4,000. It was down to $1,500. We wanted to eliminate that payment each month.
All right, let's get back to talking a little bit turkey, Ms. Rundell. It is your defense that you put in your check into the account and you were living like a married couple.
Correct.
And when you moved in together in July, it was your intention that your money be spent on household bills. Mm-hmm. And you didn't need an attorney until what month?
October.
That's not a household bill. So that what it really did was cut your participation in the household bills in half. Because if you deposited $10,000 into this account to pay for your expenses during the course of that 6 months, madam, and you withdrew $5,000 out of it for your own personal use, then it's very possible that Mr. White is correct, that it was anticipated that you would be repaying this account when you got your tax return.
It wasn't repaying that account. The tax return coming in and was going to be used to pay bills wisely, not just on a credit card. This has nothing to do with paying back the credit card. It has to do with Mr. White and his continued abuse and harassment that has not stopped and will not stop.
It will stop when he gets his money back.
That's right.
Trust me, it won't stop.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. White feels as if he's a fool because he had this outlay of money. You're still using the services of a lawyer.
Correct.
You're still living off of that $5,000.
And later today,
He smoked every single one of his paychecks.
You smoking dope?
Methamphetamines, Your Honor.
Oh, you doing methamphetamines?
Half that went to her nose also.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James White says ex-fiancée Karen Rundell owes for a loan to retain a lawyer. Karen says she gave her paycheck to James the entire time they lived together.
There isn't a question in my mind that we probably wouldn't be here having this discussion if the two of you were still together. Because if you were still together, you would be continuing to contribute your $16.88 a month into this account. And eventually, this $5,000 would be paid back from payments to the credit card. But you're not together anymore. And Mr. White feels as if he's a fool because he had this outlay of money, and now you're not together anymore. You got your tax return back. There was discussion about paying back this, whatever, Capital One card or whatever it is. Some of the money that he gave you to pay your lawyer. You're still using the services of the lawyer, correct?
Correct.
Have you given the lawyer any more money?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're still living off of that $5,000. And he says, minimally, our agreement was that she was going to continue to put her $16.88 into the account so we could at least pay the lawyer back from that money. That stopped. Listen, you want him to leave you alone?
I do.
Pay him his money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Karen's good. I mean, I always said she should have been an actress or an attorney.
I've been thrown around by him. I've had a black eye from the man.
I received a restraining order by an officer at work. I was totally floored.
Throw methamphetamines into it and see what happens.
She wrote down some pretty hellacious remarks on the restraining order, and all which was dismissed.
I wanted him to change, and I loved the man.
She's been garnished her wages. Her creditors have been after her.
It's going to spiral downhill. It's not going to change.
She was sly. I should have looked at those red flags at the very beginning.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pryber Floyd versus Higgs. Step forward.
21-year-old Cassie Pryber Floyd is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Higgs, for unpaid loans and for breaking her windshield with his cell phone.
According to your complaint, Cassie, the defendant, who was your boyfriend, needed some money for rent. You loaned him $300, then you had a fight, and he broke your windshield in your car. You want him to fix it, and then you want money for chauffeuring him around to various things, including seeing his daughter.
Correct.
You have a daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is she?
Year-old.
You support her?
Yes.
How much do you send?
I send at least $150 every week.
If child's mother was here, would she tell me that you spend $150 a week on your daughter?
Yes.
All right, Cassie, so let me hear about this first loan that you made him. When was it?
The first loan was May 4th.
Tell me about it.
Andrew was staying in a hotel, and his brother could not loan him any more money, and he needed money for rent to be able to stay in the hotel. So he asked me if I could loan him the money for the rent. He promised to pay me back.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
He promised to pay me back, even if he had to give me his paychecks until it was paid off. I have a witness that was there.
Where did this conversation take place?
At his hotel room.
Where were you staying at the time?
I was living in Harrisonburg.
Were you staying in the hotel?
No, I was not.
Did you ever stay in the hotel?
I stayed one night.
It's a lie.
I'm going to give you one more opportunity, then I'm going to throw you out of here, which is not a good thing. You do want to be heard, don't you?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
How many nights did you spend there, Cassie? And don't make it difficult for me.
Only one night, Your Honor.
In total?
In total.
Okay, now when was this incident with the windshield?
The windshield incident was on June 22nd.
Between May 4th and June 22nd, did he give you any money?
No.
Did you ask him about it?
I asked him pretty much every day for it. He kept saying I need to give my daughter's mom child support money, or I need it for drugs. He smoked almost every single one of his paychecks.
Well, didn't that give you a clue, Cassie, that this was not the kind of person you wanted to be around?
For a while, I did stop talking to him. He called me on June 22nd, said he was having problems with his daughter's mom.
What were the problems he was having with his daughter's mother?
He was not paying her child support, and she did not want to let him see her.
What were you doing with your money?
I was paying my rent.
Were you smoking dope?
No.
Methamphetamines, Your Honor.
Ooh, were you doing methamphetamines?
No, ma'am.
That's a kind of nasty story to make up about you.
But actually, Your Honor, we did take part in that there for a couple weeks, but she was involved just as well as I was.
So if I asked you if you were doing drugs, the answer was yes.
But the money that she loaned...
Just a sec. The answer would be yes.
Right. The money that she loaned me was actually because she was living with me at the time, and plus half that went to her nose also.
That's not true, Your Honor.
She was living down there with me because she lives house to house. She can't take care of her kids. She's been living in 7 different houses in the past year because she can't hold a job. She can't do nothing.
Where are you working now?
I'm a waitress
Where?
at IHOP,
How long have you been there?
on and off for 4 years.
On and off doesn't tell me. How long have you been there the last stint there?
Probably about 4 months. No, give or take 3 months, 2 months. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Cassie Pryber Floyd says ex-boyfriend Andrew Higgs owes for loans and a broken windshield. Each is accusing the other of being a drug addict.
All right, my dear. Now you can tell me about the windshield.
I had picked Andrew up on June 22nd. We had gone back to one of his witnesses' houses, and everybody was drinking. He had about 2 40-size bottles of beer. Him and I had gotten into an argument. He was getting rowdy with everybody. So I told him I was going to take him home. On our way home, I received a phone call, and he got upset about the phone call and threw his cell phone up into the dash of my car, breaking and spiderwebbing my windshield.
Okay, let's hear about the windshield incident. Andrew.
We was at the witness's house drinking.
What day of the week was that?
Wednesday, I believe.
Wednesday. What time did you get there? Whose house was it? Raise your hand. What time?
7:30, 8 o'clock.
In the evening?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many children do you have? 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are they?
One is with me, and the other one was with her dad.
The one that's with you is how old?
She's 4.
And the one that's with her dad is how old?
She's 2.
Where was the one that lives with you at 7:30 in the evening on Wednesday?
Probably spending time with my father. My parents have joint custody, but I have primary physical custody. When my father and my stepmom have time, they do spend time with her.
That is not true. You got a lot of growing up to do.
Yes, I know that.
You know, her father takes care of her daughter. She gets her maybe once a month.
I got it.
I have her every day, Your Honor.
Listen to me, Cassie. When a court has to get involved and give grandparents legal custody of a child.
That's not what happened, Your Honor.
No?
Her father ended up in jail, and
yes,
I did not want him to have to fight me for custody because he was in jail. My dad and my stepmom do have joint custody of
Cassie!
her for that.
That is a lot of baloney. Do you want me to tell you why?
Why?
I was a family court judge for many, many years. People in prison do not sue for custody. And the only reason grandparents get custody of children is because a parent is unable, physically or emotionally, to take care of them. That's why a court gives grandparents custody of children. So I'm telling you, you better grow up, you two. Doing drugs jointly or independently not only is wasteful, since you work at IHOP, and you work where, sir?
I'm a truck driver.
Well, a truck driver who does methamphetamines is not a truck driver that I would like to have driving my truck or on the road.
Your Honor, I don't...
Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now tell me what happened in the car when her windshield got smashed.
She got a phone call from a witness here saying that it was another guy waiting at her house for her. And me and her got in an argument. Instead of losing my cool, I tossed the...
Oh, don't interrupt. Sure, it's true.
I just threw my phone up against the window. And then next day, well, she went back to my witness's house and was laughing, saying that she hit me and everything. And
she hit you.
And next day, she realized that her windshield was broken. She called me up. It's like, yeah, when you threw my phone, you broke my windshield. And she's like, well, I'm not really worried about it because 2 days later, we got back together.
All right. And then you want money for driving him around to see his daughter. Is that right? That's the last part of your lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
Forget it. I don't even want to hear anymore. Listen, I'm going to make short work of the two of you. So far, between the two of you, you have managed to ruin your young lives yourselves and bring 3 offspring into this world, none of whom you are caring for. You have done enough damage. Grow up. The time you came here to file a case, to come here, you should have better spent doing something productive. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Quiet. There isn't a question in my mind, sir, that if I were to ask the mother of your child whether each and every week she gets $150 from you, I would not get an affirmative response.
Yes, you would.
Maybe once in a while you send it. Put your hand down. Either one of you two ladies the mother?
No, but I'm
I don't care. I just ask a question. Either one of you the mother of this child? Good. Then shut up. You get me? You made 3 babies. You tortured enough people. Grow up. Especially you. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, it's case number 207 on the calendar in the matter of Horner versus Scott. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Horner, this sort of comes under the category of no good deed goes unpunished.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
My daughter-in-law?
You and your wife befriended Mr. Scott. He had been a friend of your son's?
Correct.
And at some point, you allowed him to move into your home.
Yes.
Where's your family?
My parents live in Plainville, Massachusetts. I'm currently residing with them.
Was there any reason why you weren't residing with them when you moved in with the Horners?
When I graduated from high school, I kind of made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to be one of those kids that stays living with their parents, and I had moved out. And my roommate at the time decided he wanted to move back in with his parents, and I still, you know, didn't want to move back in and be one of those kids. And they had offered for me to move in and pay rent, so I had taken them up on the offer, and I was paying $75 a week to live with them.
And you were also doing some work for them?
Yes, ma'am. I was working for Mark's wife, Susan, as a maintenance worker, and I had also worked during the Patriots games for Mark at one of his sausage stands.
That's your business?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is what the lawsuit is about. At some point, Mr. Scott was driving a truck of yours, and he rear-ended somebody and caused some damage to the front end of your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
You agreed with him that he would either pay the deductible, which was $1,000, or fix the truck.
Yes.
Did you do either of those two things?
No, ma'am. When this originally happened...
No, I'm just answering my question. So the answer is no.
No, ma'am.
And sometime later, you and your wife were going away for a holiday. Mr. Scott was remaining in the house, and according to your complaint, you said to him, no parties.
Correct.
You came back unexpectedly because there was a death in the family, and you found evidence of party.
Looked like he partied like a rock star.
And subsequently, you found the hot tub cover ripped.
Not only ripped, but there was food particles, cigarette butts, beer caps floating in the hot tub.
In the hot tub. Nasty.
Nasty.
And you and Mr. Scott then got into a heated discussion. He left.
Correct.
And when he left his bed and his bicycle, which he wants back, which is the subject of his counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
He says that you told him until you sign a promissory note to pay for the damage to the hot tub and the truck, you don't get your stuff back.
Correct.
Mr. Scott says that you told him to forget about the truck.
When the accident had originally occurred, the deductible, I was told the deductible was $500, and we had come to an agreement where I wouldn't have to pay it because the person he was supposedly selling the truck to hadn't paid anything for it, and the truck was 13 years old and had over 200,000 miles on it, and it was only about a softball-sized dent in the front bumper.
I have pictures of the truck.
Okay, so according to you, he said forget about it.
Yes.
And about the damage to the hot tub?
Actually, I have my witness here, Leanne. She's a friend of mine. She was at the house Sunday when they had come home, and she can testify that there was no rip in the hot tub cover Sunday when we were done, and we were not the last people in the hot tub cover. I had come home Tuesday night with a friend of mine, and Susan and Mark's daughter-in-law and her husband, Susan's son Peter, were in the hot tub, and we believe
You mean
that.
with the sausages and the cigarette butts?
No, that stuff had been taken out and cleaned.
Mr. Scott, the Horners allowed you to live with them, and Mr. Horner has no question asked you not to, no parties. You violated that trust by having a party.
We had actually, I had only had about 5 friends over.
Throughout the entire time that you were there, Mr. Scott?
No, but I never
Mr.
thrown a
Scott,
party
look,
there,
I
no.
want you to watch. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I've had 20-year-olds, a whole gaggle of them. When 20-year-olds know that there's a free house, it's never just 5 people. Mr. Scott, do you understand? So if you want me to believe other things that you're telling me, and I'm sure you do, I'm going to ask you again. How many people were at the house?
There was only 5 people there.
At one time?
Yes, because I had lived in 2 previous houses before I moved in with Mark and Susan, where I had paid the mortgage myself, and I had pretty much gotten the partying out of my system. I quit drinking. I don't drink anymore, and it's just We were hanging out, having a good time, trying to unwind on a weekend.
Well, who do you think it was that was a pig in the group of 5 that you had then, who put food in the hot tub and cigarette butts and cans? Which one of your 5 friends?
It was my buddy Greg. He had admitted to it.
He had admitted to it before they found it?
Well, I had told him that they had found parts of a sausage in the hot tub, and there were beer caps and everything, and he said, oh, the sausage was probably from me because he was the only one eating in the hot tub.
So I assume that if you had seen him eating in the hot tub, Mr. Scott, you would have said to him, we don't do that.
I should have.
Did you see him?
I did, and I didn't say anything to him.
Did you see him smoking in the hot tub?
I did. Everybody was smoking in the hot tub.
And throwing their cigarette butts in the hot tub?
I didn't see anybody throw a cigarette butt in the hot tub. And
Well, did you take out ashtrays for everybody?
There were ashtrays out there.
Did anybody use them? You must have been aware of that unless you had been drinking.
Yes, ma'am, people did use them. The next day, when we were going through the hot tub, we had only found parts of sausages in the filter. I didn't see any cigarette butts in the hot tub at all. And
Well,
I didn't
Mr.
see any
Scott,
beer
let me
caps.
tell you this. When you abuse a privilege, I have to assume that the people who disrespected the Horner's property also ripped their cover.
Okay.
Because otherwise, why would Mr. Horner claim, after being so nice to you, they were nice to you, weren't they?
Well, the whole relationship we had was there was a lot of verbal abuse there. Mark especially was constantly putting me down, calling me, and I'm quoting him here, he was always calling me a dump. Him and his wife were both always calling me a dump. He called me a pardon my French, on numerous occasions, and he used to go around bragging to everybody that I was his, because I was helping out around the house and still paying $75 a week. And at the time, I had just gone with all of this because I didn't want to cause any tension because I was living there under their roof.
Do you have children?
I do.
How many children?
I have 3 children.
How old are they?
My oldest is 23, and then I have
Where is the 23-year-old?
My 23-year-old is in the service. He's stationed at Fort Campbell in Kentucky.
And then you have I
have a 20-year-old.
Where is that child?
He lives with his girlfriend.
Well, that doesn't warm my heart. And what else?
And I have a 16-year-old at home.
And I have a 9-year-old.
Who lives with?
Her mother.
Who you visit?
Constantly.
And support?
Yes.
Mr. Scott says that you called him a lot of vile names. Is that true?
I definitely called him a dump.
When did you do that?
He got, I believe it was his 12th or 13th moving violation and lost his driver's license. So we particularly told him that he was a dump for that. He lost...
Just a second.
It was my 8th in 4 years.
Just a second. 8th in 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
He's right.
Ma'am, that wasn't the only occasion.
Just a second. Well, I'm going to get the rest of them. But right now, that would have been worth at least a couple.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to find out if they did, in fact, call you a dump. If they had good reason to do that. 8 moving violations in 4 years fits.
And later today...
If you had to make a choice as to whether Mrs. Ramos or your 9-year-old son was telling you the truth, who would you pick?
I would pick my son, of course.
Well, then you would pick wrong.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Horner claims former tenant Jacob Scott damaged his truck and ripped his hot tub cover. Jacob is countersuing for the return of his bed and mountain bike.
I could tell that you are presenting yourself as a young man who is totally responsible and thoughtful, and you sound that way.
Thank you.
But I'm looking at these people and I'm saying to myself, this is not a couple that brought you into their home to use as a slave and berate you. So I want to find out if they did, in fact, call you a dump, if they had good reason to do that. 8 moving violations in 4 years fits.
He also had 2 while he was waiting for his suspension to come over.
And so that was worth at
So
least 2 more.
Yeah, so they took his license away.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's sort of cut to the chase here because I don't want to torture you any further.
Thank you.
You have to... You're welcome. Because I don't want to hear anything else about you because you wore a tie to court and speak well, and I'm sure you're going to try to put your life together. This is your...
This is my friend Leanne.
Not a girlfriend?
No.
You weren't eating sausages in the hot tub, Leanne. You have to give him back his bed and his bike. He's going to pick it up within 5 days.
Thank you.
I'd like to see the pictures of the truck.
Ma'am?
What?
The one thing I'm concerned about with the bed is there was an incident back when Mark's father died. He was having some trouble with his brother, and he had actually taken pictures of him urinating on his brother's bed. And I'm just worried that they had done something to my bed while it was in their position.
I'm not going to dignify that question with an answer. Do you want your bed back or not?
Yes, ma'am.
I have pictures of the bed, Your Honor, if you want to see them.
No, I don't have to see pictures of the bed. I'm looking at the front end of this truck. It looks like a little dent, sir. Does it interfere with its driving?
It does not interfere with its driving. There's a tow hook that was smashed off the bottom of it. The grill is cracked. I have an estimate here from the body shop.
Let me see the estimate. Okay. How much is a new hot tub cover, or how do you fix that?
It wasn't, it had to be replaced. Here's the
Okay.
receipt. It was
How much
400
was it?
It was $398 plus tax.
He's responsible for the tax. How much was the tax?
$420.
You living back with your folks, Mr. Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you going to do with yourself?
Actually, in October, I'm going to be moving down to St. Petersburg, Florida.
To do what?
For a change, I'm going to become a construction worker down there. That's what I do up here, but just to get away from New England and a new scenery.
Where it's
really.
warm.
Exactly.
Who do you know in St. Petersburg?
A friend of mine lives down there, so a close friend of mine. I grew up with her, so she's got an apartment down there. She's going to school down there, and
You might want to try that, Mr. Scott. School is not terrible.
I was thinking about it, but I work 7 days a week now. I love to work. Both my jobs, I landscape on the weekends, and I'm a construction worker on the weekdays.
You have your driver's license back?
No, ma'am, I do not. I actually get it back in 21 days.
Try to hold on to it this time, please.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Scott. Get your bed back and your bike in 5 days. Judgment for the plaintiff on your claim for $1,420. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was like, what kind of pig would do this to somebody who tried to help him?
Can't wait to move away from this area and away from that family.
He drinks a lot and he does a lot of drugs.
I had a few friends over, and I don't do drugs.
I'm glad she saw Jake Scott as the dump he really is.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ramos versus Trent. Step forward.
Alice Ramos is suing neighbor D'Angelo Trent for damages to her car. Alice says D'Angelo's son, 9-year-old D'Angelo Jr., crashed into her vehicle with his bike.
Mrs. Ramos, it is your complaint that this little boy right over here was on his bicycle, fell off of his bicycle, and scratched your car. You want his father to pay for the scratch on the car. Is that right? And Mr. Trent says?
Not a chance.
When did this happen?
June 19th of 2004.
Were you at home at the time?
Yes, it was a Saturday. We had had a yard sale at my residence, and this child here had been riding his bicycle the better part of the day, up and down.
What's your name?
D'Angelo Trent Jr.
D'Angelo?
Yes.
Did you know him before?
I've seen him
June
in the
19th?
neighborhood, but I didn't know whose child he was.
But you had seen him before?
Oh, yes.
For how long?
He's lived in our neighborhood as long as I can recall.
So you know him. This is the child who you hadn't seen 100 times before.
Oh, definitely.
Alice Ramos says neighbor 9-year-old D'Angelo Trent Jr. damaged her car when he crashed his bicycle. D'Angelo's father, D'Angelo Sr., claims his son doesn't own a bike.
So what did you see when he fell off the bike?
He bumped into the bumper of my car, and he fell off his bicycle. At that point, I was not concerned about my car. Myself, my nephew Andrew, and my niece all ran out to the street to see if he was okay. He seemed okay, but he fell awfully hard for how quickly he jumped back up.
And subsequently you found a scratch on your car?
When we first checked, we saw what looked like rubber scraping on the bumper of the car. And I told the little boy, before he took off, I told him, that's okay, this can be buffed out, you can go. So he jumped on his bike and he took off. More scared than hurt, I think. And 10 minutes later, he comes back with another young man on the handlebars. And he and his friend got off, and he started to show the friend what he had done. Well, unbeknownst to us, we were more concerned in the beginning about his welfare. We didn't really inspect the car. I saw the rubber scrapes on the bumper. But he's showing him another area of the car which we had not seen. And there is a scrape on the trunk.
You have a picture of it?
No, I don't.
Why don't you have a picture of it?
As I go on to the story, you'll see why.
Okay.
There was a good gash to where the whole paint and primer, everything came off right down to the metal. And it was right at the height about where the handlebars are.
So what did you do next?
I said, did you do this with your bike? And he said, he nodded his head yes. I said, well, then you can't leave. I need to talk to you. He looked at me wide-eyed, scared, started to cry, jumped back on his bike, and took off, and left his little friend there. I asked his friend, do you know who this little boy is? I've seen him in the neighborhood many times, but I don't know who he is. And he says, yes, that's D'Angelo's son. And I said, D'Angelo, I know D'Angelo. I've known D'Angelo, the father, since he was knee-high to a grasshopper, since he grew up in the neighborhood. So I said, can you take me to his house? So he walked.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit. Ms. Ramos, did Mr. D'Angelo say that he would take care of the problem?
Absolutely.
And that's why you had it fixed and you didn't take a picture. I'm just running ahead because that sounds like what you're going to tell me.
Yeah, I didn't take a picture because I had to call the police because we could not locate him, the father.
Why?
Because there was no one at the house. The house was all opened up, windows, doors, everything was opened up at the house. There was nobody there.
Okay, so when the police came, he said he would fix...
He told the police officers he would take care of it between me and him.
Okay, stop. And you had it fixed. How much did it cost you to have it fixed?
$300.
You have a receipt?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. You weren't there.
I wasn't there.
He was there.
He was there.
How long have you known Mrs. Ramos?
22 years.
She a nice lady?
Nice lady.
Seems like a lovely lady.
Yeah.
Seems like a caring lady. Is concerned about your son?
Right.
More concerned about your son than her car?
Right.
Why don't you pay her the $300?
Because my son doesn't own a bike. He was on the pegs of that
He
bike.
was riding a bike that day. Now, Mr. Trent, you seem like an intelligent man, sir.
I am.
If you had to make a choice as to whether Mrs. Ramos or your 9-year-old son was telling you the truth, who would you pick? Who would you pick, sir? I haven't even spoken to him. I know who I would pick.
I know the child that was riding the bike, and I know he's nowhere in court.
Listen
so I
to
don't
me,
know why my
sir.
son's here.
You weren't there. Mrs. Ramos, who you've known for 22 years,
Right.
says that your son was the one who was riding the bike. You weren't home. So I'm going to go back to my original question. If you had to make a choice as to whether your 9-year-old son, D'Angelo, was telling the truth or Mrs. Ramos was telling the truth, who would you pick?
I would pick my son, of course.
Well, then you would pick wrong. Your son, and you weren't there, was riding the bike. Look at me, D'Angelo. Isn't that right?
No.
Baloney.
Judge, when you ask her if there were two people there was a person riding and he was on the pegs.
No.
Please ask her.
She said he was riding the bike. Is that what you told me?
That's right.
Was there 2 children there?
No. When the incident happened, there was only one child on the bike.
When he
D'Angelo
came
Jr.
back, she said there were 2 people. He was riding and there was another child on the handlebars. And then when she went out there and confronted them, he got scared and left the other kid there. And if he's not telling you that story,
The other child
I
told me
take
the
him out to
story.
the barn. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Wilmore versus Stevenson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
All right, there are lots of pieces to this lawsuit, so let me see if I can simplify them. Take one piece at a time. Mr. and Mrs. Wilmore, the defendant was a tenant of yours for a period of time. It is your claim that she owes you for past due rent, that she owes for some utility bills, that she owes for some damage done to the property, and in addition, Mr. Wilmore, that she had you falsely arrested, and you spent a few hours in jail as a result of that arrest, and you want to be compensated for that. Ms. Stevenson says that you actually owe her money. She wants money for mental distress, and she wants all of the rent that she did in fact pay you during the course of her tenancy, because she says the property was substandard. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When did Ms. Stevenson become your tenant, and in what kind of property?
We have a house that was built in 1909. It's a former ranch house that we restored over the past 3.5 years. The downstairs part of the house was turned into an in-law unit.
And that's what you rented her?
Yes.
When?
She actually moved in on February 21st.
Can I see the lease? Is that the lease that you
list on February 2nd.
All right. term of the lease shall be for 6 months, commencing on February 7th. You moved in February?
Yes.
And when did Miss Stevenson move out?
She moved out on June 3rd.
And this is her final notice that she pinned to the door.
I didn't ask anything. So, you moved out on June 3rd?
Yes, I did.
The rent, according to the lease, was $1,000 a month, and she was to give you $2,000 security deposit. Did she ever give that to you?
Yes.
Okay.
She gave us $1,750. She never gave us the $250 that was still due on the
Okay,
deposit.
so she gave you $1,750. Did you pay February's rent?
I paid from the 21st of February to the 28th, $250.
Okay, was that your agreement?
No.
No. This lease starts February 7th.
There was a 2-week delay because we were finishing construction.
So she couldn't move in.
No.
All right, so then she's correct that she gave you $250. So that.
But that was not the deposit. The
I'm not talking about the deposit. I'm talking about for February's rent.
Okay.
Pay attention, because this is an intricate case, and I don't want to have to repeat myself. Put your hand down. March. Did you pay rent in March?
I paid rent in April for March.
How much did you pay in April?
500 plus 965, 1465.
How much did she pay in April?
When we came back, she said that due to the...
Listen to me.
All right.
Forget it.
How much
Can't
did
do it
she
this.
actually
I
pay?
can't do it this way.
Okay, do it your
In
way.
the 6 months, she should have paid $6,000 in rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much did she pay? How much did you pay in the 6 months?
$3,250.
And that's with or without the $1,750?
Including.
Including the $1,750?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you lived there for 4 months. You moved out.
I lived there 3 months and...
Some days.
Almost 2 weeks.
Well, then that's a whole month.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
The lease is from February 7th to July 7th. Although it says 6 months, it was signed for 5 months. When I brought it up to Mr. Wilmore, he said it's because they're having house guests.
It says it's a 6-month lease, but I miscalculated the months. And so it says from February through whatever it was. And it actually...
Whatever, I'm going to resolve that in her favor. I see exactly what you mean.
All right.
It says the term of the lease shall be for 6 months, commencing February 7th and ending on July 7th. That's 5 months.
Right.
Right.
There's more to this story.
I don't care. Listen, I don't plan on making this a whole day affair. This
All
is
right.
not the Scopes trial. You say she damaged the premises.
Yes,
How
Your
did she
Honor.
damage the premises?
She left boiling water on a wood parquet floor.
Show me. How do you leave boiling water on a wood parquet floor? I
You
don't
let it overflow a boiling pot, and then, I don't know, maybe wake up an hour later and turn the pot off.
What is this white thing? Is this the stove?
Yes. Yes.
Stoves and I aren't friends. I usually can't identify them unless I see the whole thing.
Martha Stewart's available.
I have a large sign in my kitchen, and you know what this large sign says? Martha Stewart doesn't live here. Would you give this to the defendant and show the defendant?
She says the nicest things about you, Your Honor.
I think she's wonderful. You know, she does her thing. I'll do mine. How'd that happen?
Well, over
Not
time.
a well. Well isn't an answer. Let's have
Over
it.
time, because he had sawed off part of a countertop and put it into a new place right next to the stove and left a gape, half an inch, quarter an inch. Over time, I did see the swelling. He talked with the contractors. I was present to make note that there was swelling. But in my opinion, I did the best thing I could, cleaned up everything. I'm a very neat person.
Was water left there by you that had boiled over on the floor, causing
Absolutely
this?
not.
Absolutely not. And this, what you're showing me, listen to me carefully, what you're showing me is under
The stove.
the stove? Get it. Now tell me about this false arrest.
One day, the sheriff's office arrived at my door and told me that I was under citizen's arrest. When I asked them what for, they said they couldn't disclose. It was a citizen's arrest, and that they made it quite clear that it was not their arrest,
It was by a citizen, this citizen.
not them.
Well, right. And it's clear that Miss Stevenson did, in fact, cause you to be arrested. So I think I'm going to let her tell me the story. Go ahead, madam.
I was greeting a neighbor across the street in the front of in the front of my unit, the back of their apartment. A neighbor that they have a mutual restraining order against. The plaintiffs had put my name as a protected person in a restraining order that they filed against my neighbor. I went to the court system, put a declaration on a penalty of perjury that I did not give them consent to be a protected person. However, this person is my friend. I ran across the street, went in his house actually for the first time, saw that he was a little ill, talked with him for maybe 5 minutes.
You're distracting me.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had him violated on the temporary order of protection. Is that right?
I went down to...
Is that right? Based upon that statement. I read your answer, madam. Don't fool around with me.
And later today...
It's like a $2,000 TV, and 2 weeks later, we get into some kind of argument. She says she wants to break up. I said, I want my TV back then. She goes, no, tough luck.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott and Justina Wilmore claim former tenant Anna Stevenson owes for unpaid rent, damages, and for a false arrest. Anna says Scott violated her restraining order.
Go ahead.
My friend Michelle was waiting downstairs for me. I ran across the street, went up to my unit. Mr. Wilmore was on his upper deck patio and said the sheriffs are on their way. And I said, I know, I didn't just hear you talk to me.
Why did you... Just a second. I don't have a restraining order. You got a restraining order against him?
I have a restraining order against Mr. Wilmore.
For what?
For harassment, for...
What kind of harassment?
First of all, he...
Let me see a copy of the restraining order.
Peeping Tom, ma'am. I caught him in my... crouched down in a small window,
Your Honor, if you were
through
married to this one, would you...
Now, listen to me. Listen to me. Mr. Wilmore.
I'm sorry.
You're making it very difficult for me to concentrate on this case.
Okay.
I want you to understand that. Now, I know that you and your wife don't want me to make it difficult for me to concentrate on this case, but talking to each other, looking through your papers, is not helping me.
Okay.
Okay. What was the date, by the way, that he allegedly violated this protective order?
The date I had him arrested, 5/20.
What was the date?
5/20.
And you had gotten this on May 7th?
Correct.
It was continued on your request until the 22nd of May. Is that right?
That's right.
Why was it continued?
Because Mr. Wilmore asked for a continuance.
He actually appeared?
He did the first
time and asked for a continuance until the 22nd. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Quiet!
It's not. Because
Listen to me. Just be quiet. And 2 days before you were scheduled to go back to court, Mr. Wilmore said to you from his balcony, I've just called the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And based upon that, you had him violated on the temporary order of protection. Is that right?
I went down to...
Is that right? Based upon that statement, I read your answer, madam. Don't fool around with me. Based upon that statement, the sheriffs are on their way. You had him violated for talking to you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Good. How many hours did you spend in jail?
4.5.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Wilmore?
I used to do software, now I restore houses.
Charged by the job or you charge by the hour?
Currently, it's by the job.
Is this the first time you spent any time in jail? Want to answer that question? What are you looking it up for?
It's not, I don't remember. I don't think so. I mean, I visited, yes.
I don't know what that means, Mr. Wilmore.
Driving infractions.
Driving infractions. Anything other than driving infractions,
No.
sir? Okay. So far, she owes you $1,000 in rent. That's what I figured so far. And I haven't gotten to her counterclaim yet. I haven't gotten there yet. She also owes you $500 for the aggravation of you spending time in jail, because I think that it's outrageous that she had you arrested for saying to her the sheriffs are on their way. Outrageous! An abuse of the system, an abuse of sheriff's time, an abuse of everybody's time, just nothing but retaliatory being nasty. It's going to cost her $500. All right. Now we're going to get to your side. You're suing for mental distress and a refund of all the rent that you paid to the plaintiff. So let me explain this to you, Miss Stevenson. I believe people have free will and free choice. I don't want to hear that the apartment was substandard, because you live in a free country. And if you don't like the accommodations, you move out. Do you understand? Yes. So now you can tell me about the mental distress.
Okay, the mental distress was endured for multiple entrances by the plaintiff without notice or consent, barging in at any time, day or night, having workers illegal at that, entering my unit, without consent or notice.
Move.
Move? I did.
Good. That's what you do. You move. And you don't wait 4 months to do it. Counterclaim is dismissed. On your claim, I'm awarding you $1,500. It's $1,000 for rent and $500 for the 4 hours that you spent in jail and her ridiculous complaint. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a good judge.
I'm just so thrilled that it's over.
I respect what she had to say.
It's been a nightmare, and I'm just happy that she's out of our life.
I respect the way she handled their behavioral patterns.
She was a tenant from another planet.
Never trust an asshole.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cannon versus Coughlin, step forward, please.
Pilot David Cannon is suing ex-girlfriend Jennifer Coughlin for the return of his 52-inch television set. Jennifer says David gave it to her when he was drunk.
Mr. Cannon, Miss Coughlin is your former girlfriend, and you say she has a television set, a big one, that belongs to you.
Yes, ma'am.
She says the television was a gift. And I find the story behind how you got this television set sort of interesting. I want to make sure I get it right. So why don't you tell me how you got the television set, sir, and when?
It was Super Bowl Sunday. We had decided to go to this place called Boston Pizza. We had just broken up recently and decided that day, actually, to get back together.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Don't interrupt.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pilot David Cannon is suing ex-girlfriend Jennifer Coughlin for the return of his 52-inch television set. Jennifer says David gave it to her when he was drunk.
Go ahead.
So we went over to the bar. My next-door neighbor was joining us. He joined us a little later. During the game, I was talking to this gentleman next to me, and he was a Patriots fan. I was a Rams fan. Unfortunately, he was the happier one at the end of the night. Patriots won. They were giving away a TV at the end of the night, and the gentleman won it. And I was like, he lived in Boston, and I was like, you can't take that TV back with you. Why don't you just give it to me? He goes, well, if you pay my tab, my bill, I'll let you have the TV. So I was like, well, that's a deal. Because it's like a $2,000 TV, and I paid the tab. It came to like $150. And we were excited, and I was excited about getting back together with her, and I said, well, why don't we just take the TV over to your place, because that's where I always stayed anyway when we were together, and we could all enjoy it, you and your kids. And in the heat of the moment, I kind of said, well, I'll just give it to you, why not? And my next-door neighbor, as we were taking it out, told me that I was nuts, and as we were driving over there and got it up and set up in her apartment, I realized that he was right, and I told her as much, and I said, I can't just give this to you. It's too big of a gift. Why don't we just keep it here? We can all enjoy it. And I'll be here for at least another year, and we're back together, and life is good, flowers and happiness and joy, and and she agreed to it. She said, okay. And my next door neighbor was there to witness it. He works for the state of Texas, and he was not able to come this week. But I have an affidavit if you want to read it. I didn't think you would, but I tried. So 2 weeks later, we get into some kind of argument. She says she wants to break up. I said, I want my TV back then. And she goes, no. I went out and got the warranty in my name. It's my TV now. Tough luck.
Your version.
It's quite different than that. We were sitting at Boston's in Louisville watching the Super Bowl, and we befriended the man in question that originally won the television. And Mr. Cannon here was quite drunk. When the TV was won by him, he looked at us and said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you guys because I can't take it back to Boston, obviously. And he got up and announced to the whole entire bar that he was giving it to me. And his neighbor loaded it into his truck, brought it to my apartment that evening. And I also had some neighbors of mine help bring it up the stairs. And he told everybody who would listen that he was giving it to me, and he was so wonderful. I had done so much for him while we were together. I had loaned him money, this, that, and the other, and that he was giving it to me as a gift. And I did register the warranty in my name, which proves his verification of ownership from RCA, and I told him that I had done that. And he did say at one point, well, I was really drunk and I didn't know what I was doing, so I should probably just go ahead and just let you borrow the television. And I said, no, you don't do that. Called him a few choice names, and that was the end of it. I didn't hear from him again until April when he filed the case.
Mr. Cannon, describe this television.
It's a 52-inch big screen TV, RCA,
And what size television do you have now in your apartment?
probably about 25-inch. I have the receipt from Boston's regarding the bill that I paid. I paid the guy's bill to get the TV.
I believe that. Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
I also believe you just gave her the television set. You were drunk. According to you, we were getting back together that day. You wanted to be very magnanimous. So it doesn't ring true that once you got the television up to her house, you would say to her, after having a whole day of drinking and being in a reasonable mood since you're getting back together with this lady that you are crazy about, listen, maybe it would be just a good idea if I let you borrow it. But you had already given it to her. She had already made arrangements and gotten people to move it up to her apartment.
Well, there wasn't anything arranged. We just kind of loaded up in my next-door neighbor's truck and
And
went
took
over
it there to her house because you had given it to her.
On the calendar in the matter of Goral versus Berezowski. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young man, have a seat, please.
Mr. Goral, you and the defendant have known each other, according to what I've read, for many years.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant is responsible for damage that her 10-year-old son did to your car.
Yes.
And tell me when this incident occurred and where it happened.
This incident occurred 5602.
Yes?
In front of her house while Justin was working on his bicycle.
You went to her house?
Yes, I did.
In your car?
Yes, I did.
What did you go there for?
To see her.
So you pulled up into the driveway or in front of
Or
her?
in front of the house.
Pulled up in front of the house, and what happened?
Jan got into the passenger side. We sat in the car for a few minutes, and I said, well, hey, let's go up to the store. I wanted to go up to the store. And I cranked the engine up.
And she said, okay, she was going to go
She was going to go with me. And
No, I
Justin
didn't say-
asked,
Shh,
Justin asked, where are you going, Ma? And she told me, nowhere. So I shut the car down. But I turned around and I asked her again. I says, come on, well, let's just go up to the store. So I started the car back up. I proceeded maybe about a foot. This is when Justin ran up to the car with a bike rim, overloaded it onto the windshield. I have pictures.
What do you mean
of
overloaded it?
Well, he smashed the window out.
Okay.
I also have pictures of the air conditioning vent before and after, and what he had done with the wrench.
Why do you think he was so upset, Mr. Goral?
Because the mother pampers him too much. Wherever she goes, he's got to go. Like little Bo Beep lost her sheep, you know.
Well, who else was home with him at the time?
Her second oldest son, Nicholas, was home.
All right, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Yes, I went into the car. I had no shoes on. I left the door open, the car door open. I never closed the door.
That car
Justin
door was
asked
closed.
me.
Don't interrupt her.
Justin asked me, Mom, you going somewhere? I said, no, I am not going anywhere. And then Justin responded, my mom's not going anywhere. And then Justin came into the car, pulling me on my lap, saying, come on, my mom doesn't want to go. She said she's not going anywhere. That is when John backhanded him like this to his chest. John proceeded to go a foot about. His feet were out of the car. Then I was yelling at John. John stopped the car. Justin got out. I got out. Then John came out of the car and was upset with Justin because Justin did not want me to go, and I didn't want to go. Justin was afraid for me to go. And John hit him on the shoulder then. Justin then went to throw the bike rim, because he was changing his tire, at John. Not at the car, but it did hit the car.
So you're telling me that the plaintiff put his hands on your son?
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. If it was true that it happened, that's something that you would have indicated in here. Let me tell you, in case you forgot what you swore to in your answer. You said, Justin was upset because he thought John was forcing me to leave and John was drunk. Justin was trying to get me out of the car. When John pulled away, John narrowly missed running over Justin's feet. That's when Justin threw the bike rim that cracked John's windshield. Nowhere in this statement do you say that he got out of the car and put his hands on your son, which any mother would say. So when I ask you a question, you may be in the right and you may not be responsible for what your son did. But if you lie to me, then I'll never know. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So let's start again, and let's try to make the stories consistent.
Okay, I left the door open. Justin asked me if I was going somewhere. I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. And then Justin said, my mom's not going anywhere. John did, though, push him toward on his chest. He did. And Justin was pulling on me.
You were in the car at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
He was in the car at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
So he didn't get out of the car and hit him on the shoulder?
This was in the beginning.
He didn't get out of the car and hit him on the shoulder?
Not at that present time, no.
No, right.
And then, after John had stopped, Justin was out of the car. John did get out of the car and go to the lawn and hit Justin on his shoulder. He did.
Did you ever hit the child?
No, ma'am, I did not.
I don't believe that he hit him.
May I speak, ma'am?
Yes.
Well, after Justin broke the windshield, I sat there with, I'm astounded. My windshield's broke.
Where were you when the windshield was broken?
I was sitting on the driver's side with both doors closed.
And where was she sitting?
Right alongside of me, it's a bucket seat.
So she was actually sitting there
Yes.
when he hit the windshield.
Yes.
And what happened? What did Justin say after he cracked the windshield?
Next thing I know, I look over and Justin's sticking a wrench into the air vent. And I said, that's enough. I jumped out of the car. But I went towards Justin. But when I looked and seen that her oldest son was standing there, I says, no, no, no. I'll just go and call the police. I went home, which I have a police report. And it says that the mother didn't do anything.
No, she didn't.
She didn't do anything.
Justin, stand up next to your mother. You're 10 years old?
Yes,
Why did you crack his windshield?
because he had hit me in the car.
He hit you? How did he hit you in the car?
He had reached over and hit me
Where did he hit you?
in my chest,
You mean he pushed you? That's why you broke his windshield?
and then I hit my head on the window.
Sit down. Before this thing escalated into a major confrontation with your son, why didn't you just get out of the car?
He asked me if he could speak with me.
What was he speaking to you about?
He wanted me to go up to the store with him first. He said, and then we can discuss matters, because we don't get along that well. And he's always calling Justin vulgar names, constantly.
And you have no right to be with him, madam, if he's calling your child vulgar names. Were you drinking that day, too?
No.
Were you drinking that day?
Yes.
Was she drinking that day?
No.
What are you doing behind the wheel of a car drinking?
I wasn't drinking in the car.
You had been drinking. What were you doing driving a car, having had things to drink?
I had a few beers, Your Honor.
Had no reason to get into the car.
But I was capable of driving the car, which
You
I
say.
know it was wrong.
You say.
Yes, ma'am.
You say. Have you ever been drunk in front of her child before?
Yes.
Has there ever been any incident of domestic violence between the two of you where you've been drinking?
I'd say no.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His behavior in the past has not been the kind of behavior that you want to expose your children to. And you continue to expose them to him because if he wasn't drinking on that day, there's always tomorrow. You got me?
And later today,
All the wires to the electrical things in my room were cut.
You were angry.
About what?
About what? About being evicted from the apartment.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Gorel says his ex-girlfriend's son, 10-year-old Justin Berezowski, smashed out his windshield. Justin says he retaliated after John hit him.
Mr. Gorel, I believe that you are at least partially responsible for the atmosphere that was created on that day. You have a 10-year-old child who has seen you in a state where you are intoxicated. He's probably seen some instance of, if not real violence between the two of you, words that were exchanged that were not nice. And then you come over to the house. But clearly, in his desire not to have his mother leave with you, he tries to act like a protective man of the house. That doesn't mean that you are solely responsible, because I think his mother bears some of this responsibility. Because despite the fact that he says he has been intoxicated in front of you, intoxicated in front of your son, you continue to socialize with him.
You're right.
Right. And your son is outside, and you too know, or you should know as a mother, that your son has witnessed things that a 10-year-old should not witness. Right?
That's correct.
Okay. So,
would you please listen to this, Your Honor?
No.
I have
Please,
something else
it's
to
very
say, Your Honor,
important.
to
Listen to
myself.
me. You think that you're not partially responsible?
No, I never said that.
Well, good. That's what I'm saying to you. The damage that we're talking about is $500. You're partially responsible. Put your hand down, sir. You're not paying good attention. You're not getting the whole picture. I get the picture. She likes to have a social relationship with you, even though the two of you together may not do the right thing all the time in front of this 10-year-old child, and the 10-year-old child is reacting to past history.
Can I say something, please?
Yes.
All I did, when he had called me, I asked him if he had been drinking, and he said no.
So, what does that have to do with what I just said to you? His behavior in the past has not been the kind of behavior that you want to expose your children to. And you have. And you continue to expose them to him because if he wasn't drinking on that day, there's always tomorrow. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
You got me? You have exposed your children to things that they should not have been exposed to. And if your son is reacting to that, your son is reacting to that, you're partially responsible. He's partially responsible. But he's not his child. He's your child. So he bears half the cost. Suing for $500, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. You pay the rest. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think I should have had to pay anything because he was provoked in it.
Takes two to tango.
Stay alone if you encounter men like this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Higgs versus Culpepper. Step forward, please.
20-year-old college student Jennifer Higgs is suing former roommate, 18-year-old student Chantel Culpepper, for destroying her personal property. Chantal denies the charges.
Ms. Higgs, you and the defendant had been college roommates. Is that right? There were 3 girls in your suite?
No, there were 4.
According to your complaint, you had the defendant and at least one of the other gals moved out of the suite because you believed that one or both of them were involved in stealing some of your property.
Yes.
That's not what the lawsuit is about. The lawsuit is about some property of yours that was later vandalized.
Yes.
And you believe that the defendant was responsible for that. And there were 4 girls in the room.
Well, it was more like an apartment with 3 bedrooms. I had a single bedroom with myself. Chantal shared a room with Jasmine, and then there was another roommate named Michelle, who had her own room.
Now, there came a time when you found some of your items missing and then later found your ATM card missing. And when you subsequently went to check, there was some $1,400 missing.
Yes.
Now, what made you think that the defendant and or this other young lady were involved in taking your credit card?
Because that occurred during February of this year. In January, our other roommate, Michelle, had moved out. So basically, it was myself, Chantal, and Jasmine who were in the apartment.
And you made a report of that?
Yes.
To whom?
To the campus police.
What happened as a result of that?
The bank took a while to get back to the detective, and they only keep the video for about a month. And by the time the bank got back to the detective, the tape was already erased.
Well, since there was really no proof that they had taken your credit card, tell me on what authority you believe they were in fact evicted from the apartment.
Well, basically, we weren't getting along. Other things became stolen. Shower products were being used. My food was constantly being eaten.
Okay. So they left. Now, what kind of damage was done to your things in the apartment?
The new handle was broken off of my bedroom door. It had been locked when I left. All the wires to the electrical things in my room were cut, like my TV, my PlayStation, my clock radio. Yes, it was actually cut.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Higgs says former college roommate Chantal Culpepper vandalized her property by cutting the cords to her electronic equipment.
When had the girls been evicted from the apartment?
Earlier that day, Chantal was helping Jasmine move her things out, but Chantal's stuff was still in the apartment when they left.
Was the front door to the apartment, was that locked when you came home?
Yes.
Other than the key that you had and that Chantal had and that Jasmine had, did anyone else have a key to your apartment other than management?
No.
Do you have any documentation for me, photographs or anything else?
Yes, I do have
I'd like
photographs
to see it, please.
of the actual night. And I also have police reports.
Okay, Ms. Culpepper, now I'll hear you.
All right. First of all, we was friends. We was cool. We threw her a birthday party, you know, went out, hung out, everything. We didn't find out about the credit card until housing told us that Jennifer had been going about writing down reports and everything, and we thinking that we was cool, you know what I'm saying? We were just friends.
Let's get to the day that her property came up vandalized.
We wasn't under the impression that her property was vandalized because we had moved, Jasmine had helped me move out later on that night because we was already being kicked out of that apartment due to her saying that we was wasn't getting along.
Are you living together, the two of you?
No.
You still friends?
Yes.
Have you remained friends?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. One of the two of you cut the wires in her room.
No, we did not.
Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. You were angry.
About what?
About what? About being evicted from the apartment. 3 keys.
My wire was cut
3
too.
keys. I don't believe that she cut the wires on her own property and broke down her door. The police report indicates that the front door to the apartment, which was opened with a key, was not damaged. The only door lock that was damaged was the door to her room. The only people that were angry about the situation, as you've just described, you thought everything was cool, everything was wonderful, and all of a sudden you're evicted, were the two of you. The problem is, she doesn't know which one of you did it, or which one of your boyfriends did it, or whoever was helping you move did it. She doesn't know that. But it's clear to me that one of the two of you know who did it. No question in my mind, madam.
Okay. But like I said, we was moving out that night. Nothing was wrong with the apartment when we left.
So you mean somebody else just went in there?
No, she has the window onto the balcony. Anybody could have broke in there. She could have came in there.
Let me tell you why nobody did that except the two of you. Because if they came in to steal something, they would have come in and taken the property. They didn't take it. All they did was vandalize it so she couldn't use it. Now that's done by somebody who doesn't like her. Do we understand each other?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Well then, what year in college are you?
I'm a freshman, going on to my
Well, maybe
sophomore.
you'll understand when you're a junior. What made you choose this defendant as opposed to suing both of them?
Because with the front door, it actually records whose key was used.
Oh, and what time they used it?
Yes, I have a report from school, and it shows the times that she entered it. She entered 5 times while I was gone that night.
So that's why you chose her?
Yeah.
Are you user 1 or 2?
I don't know. They never gave me a copy of that. They said that was only for the plaintiff. They never gave me no information on
Well,
nothing.
let me give you this. You are user 2.
I was moving that night along with Jasmine helping me. So I had to come in and out the door. We are not allowed to keep the door open. So yes, I did use my key. When I came home, my wire was cut off my TV.
Did you make a report of that?
Yes, I did.
When?
May 12th.
The first report that you made that you had vandalized property was May 12th? This happened April 12th.
Okay.
So after they said her room was vandalized, you said my property was vandalized too?
Yeah, that's the whole reason
What
why
I'm
I
saying
moved.
to you is before...
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mr. Macklin, it is your claim that the defendant bit off your ear, or a good piece of it,
Yes,
during the course of an assault.
correct.
The defendant says he was defending not only himself, but really his sister when this incident took place. Is that right?
Yes.
So let me try to put this into context as I understand your complaint. Mr. Macklin, you were having a get-together, a party at your house with some friends and acquaintances. Among the people that were there, according to what you tell me in your complaint, was the defendant's sister.
Correct.
Someone who you knew casually. So far, am I correct?
Correct.
Is this the sister?
Yes, it is.
At some point during the evening, according to you, this gentleman appeared at your door. You asked him what he wanted. He said who he was, and he said, I'm here to pick up my sister. And you told him to get out.
Correct.
And sometime later, this altercation took place.
Yes.
You also tell me in your complaint, sir, that you had noticed some shenanigans going on with some men going into the bathroom with the defendant's sister. You
Yes.
didn't know what was going on in there, but I assume that you thought it was something of a sexual nature. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, I am assuming that you saw that before he came to pick his sister up.
Yes.
Why did you close the door in his face when he came to pick up his sister?
Because he was demanding some money.
Well, tell me about that, sir.
His sister is a dancer, a stripper. So he was demanding money. She claims I promised her some money to come strip at my party.
Oh, well, you didn't put that in your complaint, sir. So there's a whole other piece to this story that neither of you put in your papers. Is she a dancer?
Not now, she is not.
Was she then?
I believe so, yes.
What do you mean you believe so?
I don't know everything she does.
What prompted you, sir, to go to the house to pick up your sister?
I was called. I was at a bar. I was called. She had been at a bar with him. I was invited to his house to an after party.
You said you were at a bar and you got a call.
Of
Who
an
did you
after
get
party.
a call from?
My sister.
And what did your sister say to you when she called you?
Her friend was having an after party, wanted to know if I wanted to come there.
So you didn't speak to him, you spoke to your sister.
No, I spoke to him. He answered the door, let me in.
No, no, no. Before you
Yeah.
got there, listen to me very carefully. And if you don't tell me the truth about everything, you see, you're going to be tripping over your tie that you're not wearing. So I just want you to pay careful attention to me. When you got to the house, you hadn't spoken to him. You spoke to your sister who said, come over to this after party.
Yes, ma'am.
So you weren't going there to pick up your sister. You were going there because you had been invited to a party.
Yes.
Now, you said that when you got there, you could tell she was upset about something. When did you see her? When he opened the door?
Yeah.
And what made you think she was upset about something?
I could just tell. It's my sister, I can tell.
So he closed the door.
No, he let me in.
Oh, he did?
Yes, I had a big stack of CDs. I came in, had drinks, was there for probably an hour or so. I had CDs, was playing music, having a good old time for a while.
And then what happened?
Him and his friends wanted to start acting crazy, try to jump me, threw me through a coffee table.
Why do you think they did that after an hour?
I have no idea. I don't know them.
Just a second. Did he come into the house, Mr. Macklin?
Yes, he did.
All right. So you closed the door, told him to leave, but when did he come back?
It started with, I had this after party, I had friends. He was not invited to my house. His sister was. He barged into my house and assaulted me. He didn't get thrown through a coffee table. He threw one of my friends through a coffee table.
I thought you said you closed the door and told him to leave.
That's after he demanded money. He demanded money because he said...
So he was in the house already?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Just a second. Tell me what he said when he demanded money.
He says, you owe my sister $100. I said, this is my house, you can leave. Get out.
And what happened?
He left.
And then what happened?
Well, I was in my room looking on the computer with my witness, Janet, and all of a sudden I heard a loud crash. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Next thing you know, him and a bunch of his buddies are in my bedroom beating me up. You know, they come crashing through with a bunch of his buddies. They were beating me up.
Crashing through where?
They crashed through my bedroom. I was in my bedroom. You know, I was in my bedroom with her on the computer. And all of a sudden, all these guys just come rushing in.
You mean you're having a party with somebody who may or may not have been a dancer, and you got a whole bunch of people there having a good time, dancing, drinking, having fun, and you're inside on your computer in your bedroom?
Correct. Yes, we were in my bedroom on the internet, yes. So, you know, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I'd never seen this guy before in my life. Never seen him before in my life. So I picked up a gun. They were like, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. So they went running outside. So I ran outside, and as they was running, they were crashing my house. I walked out my living room. It's just a shambles, you know. So I walked outside, went into the courtroom, out down the stairs to get a license plate number, and all of a sudden, me and him got into a confrontation.
And what happened when you got into a confrontation?
We got into a confrontation. We started fighting. We went down to the ground, and we were rolling around.
And that's when you got your ear bitten?
Correct.
Okay. And where was the gun at that time?
Oh, it was in the house. I mean, it didn't even have a clip in it or anything like that.
I don't care whether it had a clip or not. You're telling me that you put the gun back inside when you went outside?
Oh, yes. I mean,
oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Now, let me hear you.
We was there partying and got in a big fight. I got through a coffee table.
What did you get into a fight about?
I don't really even know. They was all mad at her or something. I don't even know. I don't like to get involved in her affairs. But I was just there. I was just there to have a good time, party. The bars were closed, so I stopped by, you know, to have a couple drinks. It was still a little early. Well, I get jumped, get through a coffee table. I was jumped up. I had a whole bunch of CDs, a book that holds about 100 CDs that I had brought with me to play some music. I was grabbing that. While I was grabbing that, he was grabbing his gun from in between the mattresses. I take off running. I'm jumping down flights of stairs. I'm not even running down the stairs. I'm jumping down them. I lose, about 15 CDs. I'm trying to shove them back in the book. At this time, she yells, gun. So I thought he was coming at me with the gun. I took off running, ran around the building, which I was parked right in the front. I was so, drunk and scared. I ran around the building. When I ran back, he met me. He chased me outside. I don't know if he had the gun or not. It was dark. He came up to me and goes, I have no problem with you, and hit me. When he did that, I had to do what I had to do. And I don't know what made me think to bite his ear off. All I knew is he had a gun.
I did not chase him with a gun. I was in my house. These guys, he came with a bunch of
chased
buddies.
me outside, though.
Just a second. Step up. Tell me your first name.
Jenny.
What were you doing there, Jenny?
I just went there to just go chill after party.
After what party?
It was an after-bar party.
What were you doing in the bathroom with these guys?
I was in no bathroom with no guys. I was standing in the kitchen when my brother got there.
What do you do professionally?
Right now, I stay home with my child.
Okay. Before you stayed home with your child, did you do any professional dancing?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was drunk. You were drunk. I have no idea about her. That's what happens when you get drunk. What do you want from me?
And later today.
How much was the ring?
$2,700, $2,500.
I'm trying to resolve this, Mr. Lupo. I don't want you to think that this is an interview for The Sopranos. Do you understand?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vincent Macklin says Joshua Nabe crashed his party, started a fight, and bit off part of his ear.
Go ahead.
Can I show you this? It says right here, it's a police report where he says the victim stated, which is him, that he was very drunk. And the incident would not have happened if he wasn't so drunk.
So were you.
No, I was not that drunk.
You just a second. You just told me.
I said I've been drinking.
No. That's not what you said.
Oh.
That's not what you said. You said you ran outside. You ran the wrong way because you were drunk and
well, I was
scared.
Scared, yeah.
No. You said drunk and scared is what you said. He was drunk. You were drunk. I have no idea about her. That's what happens when you get drunk. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? That's what happens when you have a wild drinking party at your house.
But I was at my house.
I don't care if you were in your house.
He came to my house with his buddies and jumped me.
No.
He's not saying that his buddies were there.
Listen to me. You let him into your house. You may not have liked what happened once he was there. I don't know what was going on. Everybody was drinking, brawling. Everybody was, who knows what they were doing in the bathroom, in the kitchen.
Party.
Listen to me, sir. You let him into your house. You had too much to drink. He had too much to drink. You picked up a gun, licensed, I'm sure. Is that right?
Yes, the police officers have all this on record.
Good. He takes off. You take off after him. He doesn't know whether you still have the gun. Confront each other according to you. And the fight was on.
He's not telling a vital part. He had a bunch of buddies with him. He brought a whole gang of guys that started ruining my house. He didn't get thrown through. He threw my buddy through a table.
You just told me you ran out after him to get a license plate.
Because
That's what you told me.
Yes.
And you had already, in your bedroom, picked up a gun. He was fleeing. You had not been injured up until that point. Is that correct?
The gun never left the house. He brought a gang of people into my house. If someone comes to your house and invades your house...
Macklin, call the police.
I couldn't. They were beating me up. They were beating me up, and they threw a friend of mine through a glass coffee table.
Listen, Mr. Macklin, I wasn't born yesterday, sir. You just told me 2 seconds ago that you were inside with this young lady in your bedroom playing on the computer, on the internet.
Correct.
In the same moment that you was playing on the computer on the internet, you go into your bedroom, you call the police, and you say, a group of people have just invaded my house.
That's not the way it happened. He came crashing through the bedroom. He came through with his buddies and started beating me up.
You're going to have an answer for everything. You're not going to have an answer for me. If you allow a drunken brawl to get going in your house, and then later you have a fight with him, and you get the worst of the fight because he bites you during the course of the fight, what do you want from me?
That's not what happened.
Goodbye. The case is dismissed. Next time, make sure that you don't invite people who you don't know to your house.
Excuse me, step out.
I've suffered. I've half my ear bitten off.
I don't feel it's right that I bit his ear off, but I don't feel it's right that they can jump me and pull a gun on me.
I have doctor's bill. I have cosmetic surgery that needs to be done.
I was scared. I had to do what I had to do.
You know, I just need to be careful on who I invite over my house from now on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hastaba versus Lupo. Step forward, please.
21-year-old accountant Nicole Hastaba is suing her ex-fiancé, 26-year-old mechanic Christopher Lupo, for his share of a wedding that never happened.
Mrs. Tauber, you and the defendant have been engaged to be married. And according to your complaint, you broke the engagement for whatever reason, and you had an agreement with the defendant that you were each going to contribute to the wedding.
Correct.
You put down certain deposits on things for the wedding, and when the engagement was broken, the defendant refused to pay you half of the deposits, which was your agreement. In addition, you purchased a wedding dress that you claimed that you stored or left at the defendant's mother's home that he refuses to return to you. Mr. Lupo says that you did have an agreement that you were going to share the costs of the wedding, correct?
Yes, correct.
But when you broke the engagement, you kept everything. I don't know what everything is. And in addition, you kept the engagement ring.
Correct.
So he's not paying for anything, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you really want the engagement ring back, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You're a quick learner. Did you want your dog?
No, she could keep it. Just the point, like, if I wanted to take it back, she wouldn't have gave it to me anyway, but, you know, she can keep it.
Mr. Lupo, do you want your dog? The answer is no, she could keep the dog.
She could keep the dog.
But you want your personal items back?
Yes.
And the engagement ring?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have his personal items? Is not an answer,
I
madam.
do have some of his clothes at the house.
Well, tell me, what do you have?
Maybe some sweatpants. I mean, it's
Do
really
you
nothing.
have a jacket?
I didn't see the leather jacket. I did look for it, and I didn't find it.
Now, where's the engagement ring?
I have the engagement ring. I told him I'll give it back to him. I have no problem giving it back to him as long as I get the money for the from the deposits. But I did pay $300 towards the engagement ring, and I have that also.
Did she pay some money towards the engagement ring, Mr. Lupo?
Yes, she did.
How much was the ring?
$2,700, $2,500.
I'm trying to resolve this, Mr. Lupo, and I don't want you to. I don't want you to think that this is an interview for The Sopranos. Do you understand? It is not. It is not. So we're going to try to behave like this is a courtroom, and this is a serious piece of business.
She has the receipt.
Mr. Lupo, do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do, because I'm sure that you don't talk the way you're talking to me if you go and you're talking to a priest. Do you understand? You understand? You try to act respectfully, which is exactly what I expect. I expect you to act as if you would talk. Strike that. I expect you to talk as if you were talking to a doctor who just told you that he thought you had a terminal illness. Okay? Does that settle it down for you?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. Now, how much was the engagement ring, sir?
It was around $2,700.
Is that correct?
I wasn't there when he bought it.
Fine. Is it a nice ring? Do you have it with you?
I don't have it with me, no.
Fine. $2,700. And she gave you $300 towards the ring?
Yeah, because she wanted to change the diamond.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes. Next time you get engaged, sir, don't let your fiancé give you anything towards the ring. It's tacky, especially when you're spending so much for the ring.
Well, I thought she would have been happy with the diamond I gave her, but she wanted to change it. So.
That should have been something that gave you a ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Okay. So far we're down to $2,400 that the ring was worth. Now, how much were the deposits that you put down?
Half of it is $2,100.
Okay, $2,100.
$2,110.
And does your mother have her wedding dress?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I don't know where it is.
I'm sure she has it. If that's where you put the wedding dress, right, you gave it to his mother.
I left it at his house because I figured it would be better kept there.
So you have to get the wedding dress back. Do you understand? You're going to get the engagement ring back because we're going to resolve this very fast because clearly you two folks are not in love anymore, right? Well, at least if you are still in love, you're going to start at ground zero so that you can start building on this lovely relationship again if you so choose. Once you get back the engagement ring, you don't want to give it to anybody else, so you're going to sell it. Then you'll have some money to give her back for the deposits. Is that reasonable?
That's reasonable.
There you go. Look how happy we are. Now, you're going to look very, very hard for his personal property. You have some sweaters that belong to him. He's looking for his jacket. He wants his jacket back in addition to the engagement ring. Clear?
Yes.
Now, you are going to get your $2,100 24 hours after he gets his clothes and his engagement ring. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're going to give her the $2,100 soon as
I get my stuff, she can have it. No problem.
And you're going to get your stuff 5 days from today. 6 days from today, she gets her $2,100.
Sounds good.
Happy?
Yes.
Happy?
Can I just ask one question, Your Honor?
Yes.
What about the $300 that was put towards the ring? I didn't include that with the...
No. Just a second.
Oh, okay.
You're absolutely right. Because he's getting it back. So we have to add that on to the $2,100.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sounds fair.
By the way, just for my own interest, why did you put $300 towards the ring? Is it true you wanted a different stone?
We changed the diamond.
You wanted a different diamond. Not we changed the diamond. He doesn't know anything about diamonds. Trust me, he knows nothing about diamonds.
It looked nice.
It looked nice. It looked nice. You wanted a different diamond,
Yes.
right? And he agreed.
Yes.
Fine. Then you agreed. Nice guy. So, $2,400. What else?
My records, my DJ equipment.
Everything that belongs to him.
I'll give him everything back.
You give
I don't
him
have a
everything
problem
back
with
because one day after he gets everything back, you
I'll
get your
get my
money.
money. Exactly.
Otherwise, you don't get your money. Right? Yes. Right? So now he's going to get everything back. Goodbye. Good luck. Have a happy life.
Number 267 on the calendar in the matter of Bricker versus McLeod. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Bricker, while you and the defendant were in a relationship, it is your claim that you financed a car for him.
That's correct.
With the understanding that he was going to make all the payments, and when all the payments were made, the title would be placed in his name. He missed a payment. You took the car back. The time you... Yes, according to your complaint, madam, that's what you say. You say part of your agreement was that if he missed one payment, you would take the car back. He missed a payment, you took the car back. When you took the car back, it had a bad transmission, and you want him to pay for the transmission, and that he owes you money for furniture. Now, is anything that I said incorrect?
He missed the payment in December.
I don't care when he missed it. He missed a payment.
Right, correct. But I did not get the car back until...
I don't care when you got the car back.
I didn't
the
get
reason
the car back
you
until
took
August.
the car back is because he missed a payment.
He asked me if I wanted the car back. I did not take the car back from him. I sent him a certified letter stating that he could keep the car because I didn't want it back because I knew the transmission was damaged.
So why did you take it back?
He called and asked me if I wanted the car back. And so that's exactly what I did. I said, then fine, if you don't want the car, then give it back to me. So...
Miss Bricker, you have the car.
Correct.
You want him to pay you for the bad transmission.
Correct.
He made all the payments for the car except one.
Correct.
That's what I said.
Okay.
And you claim that you made a loan to him for furniture. He says it was never a loan for furniture. You bought some furniture for his house, but that was of your own volition. There was never a discussion of it being a loan. And you were really being sort of spiteful in taking back the car because he made all of the payments. For how long, sir?
For 11 months.
One payment he missed, and it wasn't even the last payment. It was a payment several months before. And he thought that you forgave that missed payment, and if you had asked him for it, he would have given it to you. So he is counterclaiming. He's counterclaiming for all the money he put into the car. That's what this case is about. Where is the car?
He has it right now.
I have it right now.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you have it for?
Because she told me if I started making payments on it, that she would allow me to continue to make payments on it.
That is not true.
That is
You
true.
have the car now.
I have the car now.
Good, so your counterclaim's dismissed, right? Because you have the car, right? What do you look so stunned for? What do you look stunned for? You're counterclaiming for the car payments because you say you want all the money back.
As long as
you have the car back. That was your agreement.
Because it wasn't ever my intention to give her the car back. I wanted to keep making payments on it.
That's what you're going to do, right?
Right.
So you're withdrawing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, and you're withdrawing that part of your claim that deals with the transmission for the car because you didn't have it fixed. Is that right?
The reason he has the car back is because his dad's truck broke down that he was using. He called up and asked if he could rent the car from me, and I said fine. He gave me $50 on Wednesday to rent the car from me because he had no transportation to take his kids to and from school.
Miss Bricker, did you pay any money to fix the transmission on the car?
Over $3,800, yes, I did.
Let me see the bill.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
There's also another. The transmission became disabled, and there was a statement that said from his mechanic that said that the car was going to need a new transmission. A year later is when I paid for the new transmission after he called me and told me, you can have the car back. Here's the receipts.
I just want to see the bill
Your
for the
Honor.
transmission.
Your Honor. I intended on making payments on it and getting the transmission fixed, and she makes it seem like I just gave the car back because it was broken.
That's exactly
That's
why I
not
gave the
correct.
car back.
We broke up.
I don't care. I don't care. You have to pay her for having the car fixed if you want it back.
I was going to pay that.
Good. Now, let's hear about the furniture.
In October, I came into some money, a lot of money. And what ended up happening is he was getting ready to move out from where he was currently living with his 2 small children, and he was moving into a new place. And I wanted things nice. He had old furniture for the kids. He had absolutely nothing, no pots and pans, hardly anything in the house, because most of the stuff was missing after his divorce from his wife or separation. And so what I did, and he agreed to this, I said, here's some furniture that's for sale. I said, it's $125. It was 7-piece, you know, couch, sofa, love seat, coffee table, lamp, the whole thing. And I said, do you want this? And he said, yes. And I go, well, I'll pay it, and then and you'll pay me back. And that was the agreement. I wasn't buying this for him. I gave him other gifts other than...
We're talking about $125?
No. It's not more. It's more than that. It's stuff for the bathroom that I purchased.
All gifts.
It was not gifts.
Shh, don't speak to her. What do you mean stuff for the bathroom? What's stuff for the bathroom?
Stuff for the bathroom, shower curtains,
Toilet
towels,
paper.
clothes for the kids, dressers, all of that stuff. I paid for everything, and he agreed that he would pay me back for all of this.
Show me.
I have it.
Show me.
What do you want me to show you? He said, send me statements, and I did. I started sending them back in March to them, and I have copies of the statements that I started sending.
You have something on that recording that says that he acknowledges that debt?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to hear it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. You were giving him money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up.
You're slick.
And later today,
I went and picked up the truck. I had legal right to do so.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I got court ordered to do so.
Oh, well, let me see the court order.
I don't have it on me.
Well, then you don't have it. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it with you, then you don't have it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Bricker says ex-boyfriend Alfonso McLeod owes for car damages and for an unpaid loan for furniture.
All right. Let me hear the tape, please.
Number 8 at 5:26 a.m.
Do you think hanging up on me is going to make you get paid any quicker? Well, like I said, before you were such an immature child and hung up the phone, I'm willing to give you your money back that I owe you. I'm also willing to give you $50 a month to ensure that you get paid and receive every last penny that I owe you. But if you don't think that that's good enough, why don't you just go ahead and take me to court? And then that way we'll find out which you will ultimately end up receiving. Either it's going to be all or it's going to be nothing. So those are your two options. You let me know what you want to do. You can go ahead and call me during my manpower hours. You can go ahead and tell me what you think about that, okay? Bye-bye.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Oh, every other conversation, she's like, well, where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. September 8th, you said I'm going to give you back all the money that I owe you.
And I was referring to the car.
How many more months do you have to pay her out?
About between 30 and 36.
You mean pay to the bank?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm willing to do that.
You're slick. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house, because you're entitled to have your say. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I'm interested in what he has to say right now. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house and how that came about.
I had furniture, I had a TV, whatnot, blah, blah. You know, she's like, well, this is old stuff.
Were you dating at the time?
Yes.
When did you move?
December of 2001. We had broken up 3 times since then, but we were still dating.
You were dating in December of 2001 when you moved. Is that correct, Miss Bricker?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I had my furniture in there, but as she says, it was old, so she offered to get new furniture. I said, okay. And she knew my situation. She knew that I was going through a divorce and that I'm paying child support for 3 other children. I'm raising my 2 daughters by myself. So she offered to buy this furniture among other items that I felt were considered gifts. Well, if you have money to go ahead and pay me back, then go ahead. I can't pay you all at once. It's okay. Just give me money when you can. Okay.
Is that what she said to you?
Yes.
And is that what you said to her?
Yes.
So you were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes, if I had...
Shh! Listen to me. Just answer my question. You were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes.
Why did you stop?
Actually, I didn't stop, Your Honor.
Well, when was the last time you paid her any money for the furniture?
I would say probably in July.
Let me see.
Well, here's a bank statement, too, that shows the highlighted parts are The things that are highlighted is the payments that I put into her account.
Okay, you made the car payment, so the last time you made payment was, and you're right, in July. For the other things.
Yes. Can I say something?
No! Because you're all over the place, sir. You have to have a defense. Your defense is either it was a gift, or your defense was that I don't have any more money, but you say it was a gift, but I did make payments. You don't make payments on a gift.
I was giving her money because that's what she asked for.
You were giving her money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up. Everything was okay when we're together. And when we broke up, it's like, I want my car back.
How many children do you have?
5.
Is that her fault?
No, it's not her fault.
It's not her fault, sir, if you have to work 5 jobs because you made 5 children. It's not her fault. You don't take on responsibilities, borrow money that you can't pay back. You don't make more children than you can afford to take care of. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
She wanted the car back when we
I didn't ask you anything else. Does this 3842 include the car?
Yes. I subtracted the payment.
Just answer my question.
Yes,
does that
it does.
say yes?
Yes, it does include the car.
Car and the furniture?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of 3842. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You get involved with somebody, you make mistakes, you come from an honest place, and they don't.
Next time you get a girlfriend like that, make sure you have everything in writing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nealon versus Miller. Step forward, please.
Elizabeth Nealon is suing her boyfriend's wife, student Desiree Miller, for the value of a truck and for the return of a down comforter.
Miss Nealon, you have a boyfriend.
Yes, I do.
And what's his name? And also happens to be the defendant's husband.
That's correct.
I assume you are separated from your husband. Is that right?
Yes, we are.
How long have you been separated from your husband?
Off and on, about 3 years.
And how long were you actually living together?
Well, we've been married for 10.
So you lived together for 7?
Correct.
And you've been separated for 3. According to your complaint, Ms. Nealon, you and your boyfriend had a truck. The defendant took the truck and sold it, or junked it. She needed some money. You want to be reimbursed for the truck, as well as for a comforter that was in the truck. I assume that that's the comforter in question.
Mm-hmm.
Defendant says she had a right to take the truck. It was purchased 6 years ago when they were still living together. It was her husband's truck. She needed money. She had a right to take it and sell it, even though it wasn't in her name. That's your defense?
Pretty much, yes.
Let me see the title to the truck.
Your Honor, I also have papers here that show that they were legally separated when the truck was purchased originally.
Doesn't make any difference. Where did you take the truck from?
From my father-in-law's house.
How did you get it?
I went over there and drove it because he had messed with my car. My car was inoperable. So therefore, when he got incarcerated, I went and picked up the truck. I had legal right to do so. It was community property.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I got court ordered to do so.
Oh, well, let me see the court order.
I don't have it on me.
Well, then you don't have it. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it with you, then you don't have it. Now, this car is registered in her name alone.
Prior to the registration being due, my husband had warrants out for his arrest.
I don't care. The car is registered in her name alone.
But when I took the truck, it was not registered to her and her alone.
How do I know that?
Well, she mumble-jumbled some paperwork around so she could take it out of his name so that she's sole registered owner, so then she could turn around and try to press GTA charges.
Wait just a second. Let me see the former title to the car, madam.
And I would like to add to Your Honor that she didn't drive the truck. She has her own vehicle.
Doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make a difference. That's
no,
correct.
not at all.
But it was community property between my husband and I. He stole my vehicle, and I was told there was nothing I could do about it. It was community property. I couldn't make no report, do nothing about it. We're legally married.
Listen to me. You don't know, and the law doesn't know, whether or not he sold the vehicle. Let us say, instead of transferring the title to her, he sold the car, which was only in his name, to a third person. He sold it to Bird. Put the papers away, please, madam.
Sorry.
Under your theory, you had a right to go to Bird's house, take the truck, and junk it.
No.
Shh. Under your theory, you said it's community property. He has no right to transfer the title to somebody else.
I had already had possession of the vehicle when his name was removed and her name was the sole registered owner. I had already had possession of the vehicle.
On what date?
I don't recall the date.
Give me the month.
I don't know, last month, a month and a half ago.
Give me the month.
The month, well, what's this, October, so I'd say August.
Is that when you took the truck from your father-in-law's house?
Yes.
What did you do with the truck when you took it from your father?
I drove the truck, and within
For how long?
Maybe a month. about a month, somebody had filled the gas tank. I mean, completely filled the gas tank with sugar. On top of that, we paid $1,600 for the truck 6 years ago. Not a dime has been invested into that truck since then, but what my passed away mother put into it, which was clutch and brakes.
You drove the truck for a month.
Correct.
And then it was rendered inoperable. Is that what you're telling me? What did you do with it after it was rendered inoperable?
Well, I gave it to the tow truck company for a ride home. The truck was completely worthless. When the engine was, and the body was shot out, and the truck was worthless.
Now, what do you know about this truck? Did it end up in a junkyard?
That's what I understand, but it's all hearsay. I really don't know what happened to it.
Did you ever check with the junkyard?
I called several junkyards and never was able to locate the truck.
Now, how much money did you pay for this truck?
$2,500.
Show me. This says that you are loaning him $2,500, dated August 20th. In lieu of the loan in return, he will put in my name the title of his truck until the loan is paid in full. If he fails to pay off the loan, he agrees the truck will be turned over to me for payment in full. He will begin making payments of $250 a month to commence upon his employment, and you both agree he should be employed no later than the middle of August and should have made at least one full payment by the end of August. Show me where you took out the $2,500 from.
I didn't bring my bank statements with me.
That's too bad. That is too bad.
I brought everything else. I thought that was going to be sufficient.
It's not.
And
Okay.
Your Honor,
I have to believe you that you gave him $2,500. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Now, what was he incarcerated for?
She made false allegations of him stalking her.
False. They're
Is he? Shh. Is he still incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am, he is.
Was he convicted or is he waiting trial?
He's awaiting trial.
When was the last time you saw him?
Last weekend.
Do you go every weekend to see him?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm unemployed. She had me fired from my
What
job.
kind of work do you do? You're
Sales.
unemployed. And when was the last time you were employed on a full-time basis?
Was August 17th.
What kind of work were you doing?
Selling satellite television.
Where do you live now?
I live in Anaheim with my mother, who I take care of. She has Alzheimer's disease.
How long did you have that job that you lost in August?
Approximately 2.5 years.
Okay, Miss Nealon, let me tell you this. I'm dismissing your claim with leave for you to come back and refile within 1 week.
Okay.
If you can establish to my satisfaction that you actually gave him $2,500 from a withdrawal from the bank, therefore that you actually paid in due course something for this truck, I will entertain your action again.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Not a problem.
Other than that, you get nothing. Because other than that, what happened was, truck was turned over to you to keep it out of her hands. She took it. She says it was community property. I don't know if I believe it was community property. She also has the right to bring me this order that she says it was in existence, which she also conveniently doesn't have, that allowed her to take the truck. But more importantly, from your perspective, I want to see that you gave, what's his name? $2,500 for anything. Do you understand? Sure. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, by the way, she can take back her.
Case number 377 on the calendar in the matter of Liebert versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Are you ladies really involved in this case? You're not the actual plaintiff or defendant, so why don't you sit down, because this has to do with the gentleman. Mr. Liebert, is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant, who was a neighbor of yours, assaulted you. You want to be compensated for that assault. You lost wages, your medical bills, pain and suffering. Mr. Bowen says that no, it was you who attacked him, and he is counterclaiming. How long have you been neighbors?
Probably the last 3 years.
Right. I gather from the answer in the complaint in this case that there was some trouble after someone reported someone else to the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, who did that reporting?
I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
Because of the continuous problem of that we don't have no sewers on the street, so they have a salvage yard, or he stores cars, whatever, and when he does that, they take engines out and they salvage their parts in their driveway, and then they inadvertently wash it out, and it comes across my driveway. And then, if last year we've been in a drought,
You're talking about the oil and
the oil and all of his stuff that comes across my driveway is continuously muddy. So I asked the plaintiff.
Muddy from dirt or oil?
Oil, antifreeze, whatever comes out of a car when you salvage it.
So because you had this oil and sludge on your property, you reported him to the Environmental Protection Agency. And what happened as a result of that, Mr. Liebert?
Nothing, as far as I know. I have not received anything.
Did you get a ticket?
No.
Did somebody come out there and look at your property?
As far as I know, no.
Did you know about his complaint?
Yes, I have.
Well, how did you know about his complaint?
Well, I was washing the car one day, and the water ran to his driveway.
Right.
So that's the first time I heard his complaint about it.
Well, what did you do after he complained to you that all of this schmutz was ending up on his property? What did you do?
Well, I don't wash every day, so I didn't, you know.
You didn't change the way you did business?
No, I was just washing the car only. And I don't do it maybe once a month.
He's not talking about washing cars. He's talking about salvaging cars.
I don't salvage cars.
You don't take cars apart?
No. If I do anything, it's in the garage. I do not have a permit.
I believe that. All right. Tell me what happened, Mr. Liebert.
Yes, ma'am. I was in the backyard, and I heard my dad yelling. And I come out to see what he was yelling about, and he said the neighbor swerved his car towards him when he was walking up the hill. And I came out there, and the neighbor, Mr. Bowen, come running up the hill, and we started yelling back and forth. And then once he started yelling back and forth, I told him I didn't want no problems, and he spit in my face. So I took him to the ground.
How did you do that?
Just wrestled him to the ground. Then I let him back up. He gets in my face again, and he goes and, motions to swing at me. I took him to the ground again, and I started hitting him. I hit him about 6 times.
So, according to you, he spit at you first.
Yes, ma'am.
You took him down to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
He got up.
Yeah.
He again got in your face, which means he didn't hit you, but he got in your face yelling. You took him down again and started to hit him and hit him at least 6 times.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Well, when the first time I took him down, my glasses slid off, and I never recovered them. Then I let him up again. I backed off. He tries kicking me again.
No, you didn't say he took
he tries kicking me.
You didn't tell me that before,
No.
sir.
No,
All you did was say he got in your face.
He tries kicking me. And I grab his foot, and he dropped to the ground again. I stood back. He picks up a rock and throws at my father that was looking for my glasses.
So he threw a rock after you would hit him 6 times?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then
Where did you hit him, by the way?
I don't know, probably maybe the face.
And when you hit him with your fist?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he got up and he threw a rock.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, I was looking for my glasses. He kept on throwing rocks. One bounce hit me in the shin, and then one hit me directly in the rib cage.
And that's the assault that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to tell me your version of these events, Mr. Bowen.
Well, on the date of August 29th, I was coming home from work approximately about 4:30 p.m. And I know Mr. Liebert, he was walking up the road in the middle of the road. And the road in question is very narrow. There was nowhere for me to go either side of the road. And when I seen him, I was pretty close. As I observed him, he bent over and picked up what I thought to be a rock. So I didn't have no choice but to stop, so I hit my brakes. And as I stopped, Mr. Liebert come rushing up to my door with a rock in his hand. I didn't know what to do, so I started to open the door. He ran up and pushed my door shut, and when he pushed it shut, he fell down. I then pushed my door open and got out. Still not knowing what to do, he had a rock in his hand, was getting up, so I picked me up a rock. I said, hey, what's the problem? I'm just got home from work, what is your problem? And he'd been saying he's going to get me for all these things I've been turning him in for. And he's just, yeah, I'm tired of you yelling. I can't even tell you all what he was yelling at me. So, we had our altercations. My sister and my
What do you mean you had your altercations? What does that mean?
We were arguing back and forth.
Just verbally?
After it was over, he walked back up on his property, continued to throw rocks. I said, I had enough of this. I said, Suze, which my sister was standing right there, I said, Suze, I will be back up to talk to you because we were leaving to go to Flintstone Park to take my girlfriend and her 2 kids on vacation to see Flintstones. So, I'm sorry, so I got down there, I walked back up the hill to talk to my sister. When I got back up there, Mr. Liebert come out, and as he come down, he was yelling at me what my problem was. He spit from about 10 or 15 feet away, hit me right in the face, so I took my glasses off, and I no sooner got my glasses off, and he rushed me. He grabbed me by the arm, pushed me straight back down the hill, and fell on top of me. At this point, there was nothing I could do. My arms were trapped underneath me. The only thing was left was my arm on the side. I thought he was getting in a lot of punches, as Ada and all the other witnesses said. He's on top of me and is kicking me in the head and the ribs. And well, at that point, my girlfriend come up, jumped on his back, started punching him in the back. Denise came up with the cell phone, started hitting him on the head. That inadvertently called my sister, which she heard all the commotion. She called the cops. That's how the cops got called. Then after that, they let me up. When I got up, Mr. Liebert was attempting to hit me with a rock, so I run out into the field to get away from him. And when I got out in the field, he chased me, pulled my shirt down over my head, and as I was trying to fight him, I fell down, and Mr. Junior come running up and kicked me again in the ribs as I was on the ground. I got up, and the altercation pretty much ended after that.
Okay. Now, I understand from your complaint that you have a videotape of this incident. Is that right?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Hi! I'm in my yard. Hi, go! Dave!
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
Crankhead, that's right! Crankhead! Hope you guys like to get sued!
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
And later today,
Your husband went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Before that, he came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Liebert says neighbor David Bowen assaulted him during an argument. David says Mark started the fight.
Let's start it from the top, please, Bird. Now, you're in the red shirt, is that right?
Yep.
All right, getting camcorded! Camcorded! That's all right. He can threaten us all the time with a gun, honey. We got it all on camcorder. I got it all, honey. I always do. Hi. I'm in my yard. Hi, Psycho. Yeah. Hi.
No.
Dude, you need to get off.
Who
that
is that?
crank. Whatever. Yeah.
Who is that?
His
friend of my
sister's friend.
sister.
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
That's you
I got
punching
about
him pretty
6 hits.
good.
I got about 6 hits on him.
Where's your gun at now, Dave?
See, I let him up. There's my glasses right there. The little girl's got my glasses again.
Who cares?
Okay.
There we go, watch.
Yeah, you yours. Stay off each other. Get out of my yard. You want to get out of my yard throwing rocks at my husband?
This ain't your yard.
Yeah, it is. That's my driveway. My driveway. My driveway. You're the incest. Quit your sister. Y'all her. Crankhead. Crankhead. That's right. Crankhead. That's all you do is your brother's cousin and sister. Okay. I'm not talking about your family, you freaks. We're done when I say we're done. Whatever, freak. 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 Crankhead. And we ain't you guys are crank. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah. Don't let you drive. Yeah, that's all right. I know where you live. That's all right. You're shaking right now, too. Whatever. Hope you guys like to get sued.
That's bad. That is bad. A lot of it was not necessary. Yes.
Absolutely right. Most of it was unnecessary.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
both acted very badly that day, don't you think so?
Yes, ma'am.
So why are you here? Why are you getting me involved in this? Why are you getting the judicial system involved in your bad behavior?
I would like to get my doctor bills paid for and my glasses.
I would like to be 5'6". God didn't do that for me. Why are you encumbering a judicial system with nonsense where you have two neighbors who each individually acted badly, whose wives and sisters and friends all acted inappropriately, instead of sitting down and saying, boy, I acted like a real jerk, and I don't want anybody to view a tape of my acting like an idiot. My wife acting, it was your wife who was
Yes,
videotaping that, acting like a lowlife, gutter snipe, speaking like a gangster. Why would I want to share that with anybody else? I want to keep that private because I'm so humiliated by the way my family behaved that day. Instead, you decide to come to court to sue for your medical bills. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Certain things we do in private.
Yes, ma'am.
We go to the bathroom in private. Shh, please. We make love in private. Right? We have family squabbles in private. But if you behave badly and your family behaved badly, it's something that you don't want to expose to the rest of the world. You want to say it's a bad episode, I'm going to learn something from it, put a period at the end of it, right? Not expose myself and my family to worldwide scrutiny. You think that people looking at this tape think that you're a nice family?
No.
Think that she's a nice person?
No.
Listen to me, sir. You behave badly. And if you're going to have to live next to each other, then you have to do the right thing. So the first thing you have to do is not do anything on your property that interferes with the enjoyment that somebody else has of their property. And if you're washing cars on your property, and if because of the way the terrain is, it accumulates dirt and smudge and oil and other schmutz on his property, you have to find somewhere else to wash your cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you're going to be a reasonable neighbor, that's what you do. And if you don't, and if you want to continue to have negative interactions with your neighbor so that you and your wife and your father act inappropriately, that's what's going to happen. Don't expect the justice system to support you. We have other more important things to do than support bad behavior. And if you have a problem, then what I suggest you do is you report him to the appropriate authorities, and eventually they will come out and they'll do whatever is necessary, but you don't act like a hooligan. So I say to both of you, both your cases are dismissed. Your claim and your counterclaim. Act like adults, responsible adults. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I pretty much got this whooped out of me.
We acted inappropriately.
I'm just going to have to do what I have to do, live with them.
We got to get along.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of LeBron versus Patberg, step forward, please.
Receptionist Peggy LeBron is suing former friend, mechanical engineer Greg Patberg, for walking through a plate glass window in her home. Peggy says Greg was drunk on vodka.
This case is really sort of interesting. Miss LeBron, your husband was arrested.
Yes.
Because he went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Correct.
And as the police were taking him away, he told you to go and get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
Well, before that, Your Honor, he came back into the house. He got into an altercation with the neighbors because they saw him shooting at their dog. He came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
Oh, so this time he pointed a real gun.
Correct.
Bottom line is, as the police were taking him away, he told you to go get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
No, he knows bail bondsman.
Or he knows bail bondsman. So what did you do? Where did you go to get him?
He lived right around the corner from our house.
So according to you, you went and you got him and you invited him over to your house.
Correct.
And he sat there all day drinking vodka and orange juice. And he got drunk and proceeded to break a plate glass door in your house. And you want him to pay for the door.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what this case is about. Do you understand?
I heard it. I just don't.
All right. Now, Miss LeBron, I have a couple of questions for you. They take your husband away, you go around the corner and you get Mr. Patberg. And what do you say to him?
I said that my husband was just arrested and that he wanted me to come get him because he knows that he knows bail bondsman.
And he said, okay, I'll come to your house?
Correct.
Now, did he come back to the house with you?
Yes.
What time of the day or evening was this?
It was early in the morning.
Now, when he got there, what did he say to you?
He called a bail bondsman.
And did he make arrangements?
Well, they had to wait until my husband was processed.
Now, where did he get this vodka from?
I don't remember exactly where he got it that day.
I'm
but
talking
he
about
always,
that day. That's the day that he...
He always drinks vodka.
No, I understand. I don't understand that he always drinks vodka. I'm talking about that day. That's the day when he broke the door. You say he sat in your house all day.
Mm-hmm.
Until what time?
Until after my husband was brought back to the house later that night.
So he was drinking all day?
Correct.
Whose vodka was he drinking?
His own. I don't drink vodka.
So he brought the bottle with him?
He would have had to have.
Where'd you get the vodka from?
I believe we went out later in the day and purchased it.
What do you mean you believe?
Well...
Shh! What do you mean you believe? You
Well-
got drunk. That was clear. That's what she says. That's what you say.
Yes, that's correct.
And you were drinking all day?
No, I was not drinking all day.
A part of the day?
A part of the day.
Where did you get the vodka from? Is my question.
From the liquor store.
Where was the liquor store?
Well, less than a mile away.
How did you get there?
Peggy gave me a ride.
Did you give him a ride to the liquor store?
I could have. I have before.
Were you drinking too?
Not vodka.
I don't care what you were drinking. Were you drinking too?
Beer.
So you don't remember whether you gave him a ride to the store? You could have.
I could have.
Let's say you did. Miss LeBron, you allowed him to get drunk in your house. What do you want from me? Should have said, take your vodka and go home. You're lucky he's not suing you for almost killing himself going through your plate glass door. This is a very easy lesson. If you allow someone to become inebriated in your house, and in this case, you don't even remember because you were probably so looped yourself you don't even remember getting in your car and taking him to the liquor store. But if you permit him to get so drunk in your house that he staggers through a plate glass door, you are responsible. Totally responsible. You're not supposed to furnish a place where somebody can get so intoxicated that they can hurt themselves, certainly not cause damage to your place. They cause damage to your place. You pay for it. Goodbye.
Bodies. Yeah, this is case number 363 on the calendar in the matter of King versus Collier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss King, according to what I've read, the defendant was your former boyfriend. First, you say about a little more than a year ago, he had an accident with your car, which you paid for, which he said he would take care of. Then you claim to have expended a certain amount of money for remodeling of a condo that he had purchased, also with the agreement that he would pay you back. When you broke up, somehow you got him to sign a promissory note for all this money, or I think $3,200. Mr. Collier says the following. He said that you caused the accident to the car yourself, that he never borrowed any money from you, that the remodeling that you did to the condo, which had belonged to his uncle, was your own choice. The only reason he says that he signed this promissory note was that you were holding some money of his that you had gotten your hands on. You told me you wouldn't give him the money unless he signed the note. So he signed the note under duress. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was this accident with the car?
It was back in July of 2001.
And tell me about the accident with the car.
We were leaving a parking garage in Ybor City, and we were looking for the ticket that you give the attendant whenever you leave, and we couldn't find it, and we had pulled in already, so he went to back up, and as he backed up, he tore the whole bumper off the front of the car.
So it's the bumper that you're talking about?
Correct.
You remember that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember it that way, though.
Who was driving?
I was driving.
Okay. So do you have insurance?
Yes.
So did the insurance cover the damage?
No, my deductible was $500, and it only cost $335.
Okay. Did you agree to pay that?
I never agreed to pay that, Your Honor.
So give me your version of the events. You are driving, the bumper comes off the car. How did the bumper come off the car?
I actually wasn't driving. We had gone to the
You
parking...
just told me you were driving.
Oh, I was in the driver's seat. We had just backed out of the parking garage spot that I was in, that she had parked in.
Yeah.
And the angle that I pulled back, that, you know, having no idea how she had left the wheel cocked, it caught on the edge of the wall and it ripped her bumper off.
The wall didn't move, sir. The car moved.
I agree, Your Honor.
Good. Okay. So that's $335. Did you ever say that you would pay to have that bumper repaired?
No, Your Honor. The reason I agreed or told her I wouldn't pay her back for that is the fact
Would
that...
or would not?
Would not. Is because she was drunk. She drunk to drive, asked me to drive, handed me the keys, and that's the only reason I was driving. I was trying to do her a favor.
Is it true that you gave him the keys to the car because you had been drinking?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Don't drink. What's next?
I had loaned him, actually first he started living with me and he agreed that he would pay a third of the rent and a third of the utility bills.
For how many months?
Just for 1 month.
And what's the rent?
It was $800 and we divided it and he would have paid $266 for the rent and it was $74 for a third of the utility bills. And he also borrowed money to pay his car payments and he borrowed money to pay his cell phone bills.
What was his car payment?
I don't have that written down exactly.
$158.73, Your Honor.
And I paid it quite a few times. And I probably have paid it more times than I had even...
I can't keep track of that. But what kind of a way is that to have a loan, madam?
Because I was dating him, and that's things that you do.
And then finally, we have the stuff for the apartment. Let's hear about the stuff for the apartment.
It was for a condo that his uncle owned, and we had agreed that he would move in. I was still living with my roommate, so I couldn't move out at the time. And I said that we agreed that whenever time came that my lease would be up, that I would buy the place from his uncle, and that's why I would do the remodeling, and that he would also pay for that.
That you would buy the place from his uncle?
Mm-hmm.
You?
Yes, later.
You, not the two of you, you would buy the place for his uncle, so you were going to remodel it for when you bought it?
Correct.
Had you discussed that with his uncle?
No.
Just with him?
Just with him.
Well, what made you think his uncle wanted to sell it?
He discussed him buying it from his uncle.
He owner leased it to me, Your Honor. So he was selling it to me.
And you discussed selling it to her?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor, yes.
And that's why she decided to remodel it. Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
And then you decided not to sell it to her. Is that right?
No, she left, Your Honor.
Or she left. Whatever. Listen, I'm telling you this, Miss King. I'm unimpressed with all of these loans that you claim. Without a promissory note, the one that you say you have,
yes, I do, Your
you
Honor.
wouldn't get any money. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you remodel this place in anticipation of you purchasing it, so you were really remodeling it for yourself, there was no loan to him of that money. You remodeled it because you were going to live there. That was your foolishness. You don't remodel a place until the title of it is in your name.
Correct.
You want to do it fast? You do it fast. That's your problem. So now I'm going to take a look at the promissory note. Okay, so I have a promissory note for $3,200, sir, that you signed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, let me hear the circumstances surrounding you signing this promissory note.
She left on the 4th, and when she left, she had some cash in my
4th of?
March. When she did so, she didn't realize, I think, that she had some cash with her that I needed for my mortgage payment due on the 7th.
Mortgage for what?
To my uncle.
You mean your rent?
Well, he's taking it off the principal, so he's selling. He's holding the note for me. But the mortgage payment was due on the 7th, and on the 4th, she left with my cash. I couldn't raise the $350.
How did she get your cash?
I was having her hold it for me. I think we were going to deposit it in the bank.
But you speak slowly, sir. I can't follow you. I'm old.
Yes, Your Honor. She had my cash with her because she was holding it for me so that I would not spend it.
How much cash was she holding?
$350.
Okay, go ahead.
And on the 8th, a day after my mortgage was late, she agreed to go ahead and give me the cash, but only if I would sign the promissory note. Since I know their means of getting the cash that quickly, I went ahead and signed the note.
Did you have his money?
Yes, Your Honor. He had been staying at my place and left it.
And so you took the money and said you want your money back? Is that right?
Well, it was in my...
No, you want your money back? You're going to sign this note?
Correct, Your Honor.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
That's duress. You can't do that.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today...
She wanted you to get out of the car?
Yes, that way she could fight me. She grabbed my windshield wiper. She smashed it because she was really mad and broke it. And then with her both fists, she was really pissed. Won't dent my car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry King says her ex-boyfriend, Keith Collier, owes for damage to her car and unpaid loans. Keith says he owes her nothing.
As I said to you before, Miss King, but for the promissory note, I would find that there was never a loan made. With regard to the automobile, you were drunk, which is the reason he drove. He's backing out of a spot, not purposefully.
He wasn't backing out of a spot. He was backing out of the actual toll booth that he had pulled into. I did not pull into there, Your Honor.
Whatever it was. But for the fact that the two of you had broken up, there's not a question in my mind that we would not be here over this bumper damage to the car. When you drive a car, drive someplace, you go out, you're not supposed to get drunk, so you can't drive at home. Okay? I don't know how much he had been drinking that evening, whether he had been drinking more than you or less than you. I assume that he had been drinking some too, which means that you're both stupid. Then we come to the bills. Bills that you say, well, he said he would pay me some rent, and then I paid for his car payment. I paid a lot of times. I paid his car payment more than once. I'm not sure about how many times. I don't get involved with that. This is a court. You're supposed to say, on September 1st, 1999, I paid a car payment. On September 16th, the year 2000, I made a car payment for him. I have that all written down here. This is his car payment. He asked me to please advance it, and if I would, he would pay me back in a month. That's not what this is all about. This is about a boyfriend and girlfriend situation where you give him money. I don't know whether he ever gave you money.
No, Your Honor.
Probably not. Well, that means that you're not too... Right? The only thing that you thought that you did that was clever was having him do the promissory note for all this money that you thought he owed you. The only problem is you forced him to sign it. You were withholding his property. And if you withheld his property and said, unless you sign this note, I'm not going to give you the property, that is duress. So you get zippo, nada, nothing. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just hopefully no one will ever have to deal with him the way I had to deal with him.
I'm glad to see that justice was served.
Because he's a loser and he will scam anyone out of anything.
I feel bad, that Ms. King feels like she was ripped off and misled by me.
Every week he would say that he would pay me the money, and then he would say, oh, I spent it on this or I spent it on that, and never came through with it.
I'm sorry that I had to come to a court battle. She could have settled it outside very easily.
Don't give money to anyone unless you have anything signed, and don't deal with idiot con artists like that.
Worked out pretty well for me, didn't it?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Berrios versus Rivera, step forward, please.
15-year-old student Wandalise Berrios and her mother, social worker Maria Berrios, are suing Wandalise's boyfriend, 18-year-old Eric Rivera, and his mother, business owner Miriam Rivera. Maria says Miriam ran her off the road and vandalized her car.
Miss Berrios, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down. And is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
You sit down. Miss Berrios, it's your claim that Mrs. Rivera vandalized your car with you in it. Is that right?
That's correct.
And Miss Rivera says that she was angry, but she did not, in fact, damage your car at all. Now, what I gather is that your daughter was dating her son. Correct. These two.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And it's your claim that Mrs. Rivera didn't like the idea of her son dating your daughter. Is that true?
Yes,
by the
ma'am.
way? You weren't happy with this relationship? Correct. So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that your car was allegedly vandalized?
On July 3rd, her son called my daughter, and they wanted to meet us in the fireworks.
Okay, so it was July 4th weekend, there were fireworks.
On the 3rd,
and
yes.
Did he come to your house, or did you pick him up?
And we met him in the fireworks in Altamont.
Is that right? You met where at a park or something where they were having fireworks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You watched the fireworks, and then you were ready to go home?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Good. Now tell me what happened.
Okay, when we dropped him off in his house, and the defendant, she drove in front of my car, and she started yelling, threatening, and she tried to break my window, and her son came up and went right there in front of us.
Just a second. She's in her car, you're in your car?
Correct.
Did she get out of her car?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get out of your car?
No, Your Honor.
You stayed in your car, but she pulled up in front of you, cut you off?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And got out of her car. What about her son? Did he get out of the car?
We dropped him already. He was in his house.
Okay, so he came out of the house.
He ran out of the house, and he stepped between the defendant and I, right there by the window, because she tried to break the window with her
elbow. And you're sitting in the driver's seat?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what did she do?
And I did not respond to her request because the prior incident that I have with her, that she assaulted me. So I did not respond to her request. And
she wanted you to get out of the car?
Yes, that way she could fight me. So I did not get out of the car, and I told my daughter, let's leave here, because prior to that, she grabbed since I don't open the window, she grabbed my windshield wiper. She smashed it because she was really mad and broke it. And then with her both fists, she was really pissed and bumped my car. So at that time, I told my daughter, let's get out of here, let's report it. I went on reverse, I left the scene. She continued following me to my house. That's what I found out. I went to the police report, and I reported. And I put an injunction on Miss Rivera.
You have photographs of the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please? Are you two young people still dating each other or not?
Yes.
So I assume you don't want to be here?
No.
You don't want to be here? No. You don't want to be here. Is that right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Ready to hear you.
Well, the incident on actually the 3rd of the morning of the 4th of July happened all because my son and his girlfriend, Diana, was attending my child who's mentally handicapped and my daughter, which is 11 years old. This lady had the audacity to go out there and pick him up, left my two children alone with another 17-year-old child when he and her were supposed to watch my children, where my son walked away and got lost in the park where the fireworks were. And it was almost 2 in the morning by the time I was able to pick up my children from the park in the traffic. And when I got home, she was just dropping him off without no permission of mine, no knowledge where my son was. And I knew he was with her because his girlfriend, Diana,
That's not Diana.
No, that's not Diana.
He has 2 girlfriends.
Yes. And it might be 3, but right now 2. Anyway, when I got home, yes, I was very furious. Capable of, even if she would have got out of the car, I would have smacked her really good, because how a mother could leave a child who is mentally handicapped.
And just slap him.
Well, I did that.
Why'd you slap him? What are you slapping her for?
Because she's the adult. She should have left him where he was.
Just a second. You're not claiming she picked him up at your house.
No, she went behind my back as a parent and picked him up in the park.
How do you know that? That she went behind your back? How is she supposed to read your mind about what arrangements you had with your son?
Because she knew.
How does she know?
Because he told her.
Oh, baloney. But you're assuming that.
True.
You're assuming that.
True.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
6 feet. Healthy, right?
As far as I know.
How old are you?
18.
And an adult. And if he's 17, he was still 6 feet tall and very healthy.
Yes.
Right? Are you suggesting to me, Miss Rivera, that your son went to Miss Berrios and said, I'm supposed to be minding my 2 siblings, but I'm going to blow them off and leave them here by themselves. So could you please give me a ride home? Is that what you think he said to her? That's what you're assuming. Because you want to be mad at somebody instead of being mad at him. You're mad at her. What are you mad at her for?
Because it's not the first incident that this happens.
Put the blame where it's supposed to be. By the way, where were you July 3rd?
I was at my house.
Why weren't you taking care of your children?
Because he was old enough to do it. And he wanted to go to Red Hot and Boom.
He was old enough to do it because you thought he was responsible enough to do it. Clearly he wasn't.
Well, I learned my lesson in that part.
So that was your error in judgment. You don't take that out on her car.
I did not touch her car, ma'am.
Oh, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. There is no question in my mind that you broke the windshield wipers off her car and smashed down with your fist on her car, causing a dent. Absolutely no question in my mind. And I'm not going to put these 2 young people in a position of having to testify because it just seems unfair to have to do that. I don't know if this is the girlfriend you want to be with or one of your other 2. That's your business. By the way, he probably does have other girlfriends. You understand that?
Yes.
Let me see the estimates of the damage to the car. Do you work?
Yes. No, ma'am.
What do you do?
I'm a student.
Where?
Lighthouse Christian Academy.
I have 3 estimates, and the cheapest estimate to do the work is $1321.89. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You know that they're still dating?
Yes.
You resigned yourself to that?
Actually, as long as he lives under my roof and I pay for his school, he has to abide by my laws.
Which is?
They want to see themselves, they could see themselves out of her house. I don't want him in her house because they're in illegal activities. And if he's in her house and there is a bust in her house and my son is put in jail for something that he haven't done, I'm going to hold her responsible for my
Why
son's
don't you hold
liberty.
him responsible? He's 18 years old. He's 6'1". You think that she can keep him out of her house?
Yes. She don't have to open the door.
Miss Rivera, you rely on him a lot?
Yes, I do.
I assume that you did rely on him a lot.
Yes, I'm a single parent. I raised him by myself.
You got to corral him. If you can't do it, don't expect other people to do it. If he doesn't follow your directions, and what you're saying is as long as he's living under my roof, breathing the air that I pay for, turning on the electricity that I pay for, eating the food that I pay for, then go out, get yourself a job, live on your own. You can do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Your problem is that he is a help to you in the house taking care of your 13-year-old son.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,320.
227 on the calendar in the matter of Skinner versus Wilson. Good,
Thank
Judge.
you.
How you doing? Parties have been sworn in. Your Honor, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Skinner, you hired the defendant's daughter to house sit for you. You were going away on vacation?
A 3-day weekend.
And it is your claim that while the defendant's daughter was there, some items were stolen from your house, totaling almost $5,000. And also that the defendant's daughter threw a party, used your car without your permission. But primarily, the car wasn't damaged or destroyed. Primarily, you just want the value of the items that were stolen. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're suing her mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she's a minor. How old are you?
I'm 17 now.
Why don't you stand up next to your mother? Maybe 17, but you're taller than your mom. So why don't you tell me how you found this young lady to house sit for you?
Well, we worked together, and I felt since I worked with her, I could trust her daughter that nothing would happen to my house while we were gone for a few days. So we made the arrangement, and I paid them $40.
Who did you make the arrangement with?
Both of them.
Well,
With her mother.
tell me where that took place when it took place, when did you go away?
Okay. I made the arrangement partially with Natasha at work, and then they all came over to the house, and we went through where all the medicine for the animals were and how they were to be taken care of.
You mean Miss Wilson brought her daughter over to your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you met her daughter before?
Yes, ma'am.
And when she brought her over to the house, it wasn't agreed upon that Mrs. Wilson was going to be there to house it, only her daughter?
It was also agreed that on one particular night, Natasha and her husband was going to come over, and they were going to be at the house, watch movies with the girls, and that they would be supervised at all times.
What do you mean they would be supervised at all times?
She would be watching the house and checking on them because she would be going to the house twice a day.
So is what you're telling me, Miss Skinner, that you made arrangements with Miss Wilson that her daughter was going to sleep at the house and take care of your animals?
Correct.
How many animals do you have?
3.
But that Mrs. Wilson was going to be there twice a day and was also going to spend one night at the house with her husband.
Actually, what it was is she was going to be there twice a day to check on it because she was going to pick Christina up, take her to work in the morning, leave her son there to stay at the house during the day. Then when Christina got off, she would take Christina back to the house, pick up her son so the house would never be empty.
So she was just doing a chauffeuring service. She wasn't going there to check on the house. She was going to drop off and pick up her children who were house sitting.
Right.
All right, well, that's different.
Well.
And you may have felt comfortable that she was going to be there, but that wasn't twice a day checking on the house, Miss Skinner.
Okay.
Right?
I felt as a friend she was going to do that, yes.
And that's a favor. But that's not what she was doing. She said, I'll make sure the house is covered with my children so it won't be vacant. Okay, what day did you leave?
Friday,
August 2nd.
August 2nd.
What was your arrangement with Christina with regard to friends?
We had agreed so that she wouldn't be alone since she didn't know the area, that one friend could stay with her at night. That way she wouldn't be alone in a neighborhood she didn't know.
Good. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have more than one friend over?
Yes.
How many friends did you have over, Christina?
A total of 3.
Including you?
No, without me. I was the 4th.
And what were these friends doing at your house?
It was my best friend, one of my best friends, Brandy's birthday. So we picked her up and we were just sitting there watching TV and just talking. And
so there were 4 of you all together?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I have a copy of the police report, a copy of citations that she was issued in my car at 4:15 in the morning in Arlington.
What were you doing in her car, Christina?
I had taken it to drive back to Arlington to pick up friends, and that was the time when I was taking Brandy and Courtney back home.
What were you doing riding in her car?
I used it to go pick up friends.
Well, you weren't allowed to do that, right?
Right.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
May I say something?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, before we even agreed to this, she knew my daughter did not have a license to drive. And prior to that, I had asked her, whatever you do, please do not let her have the key. We talked about this at work, and we talked about it again once we made it to her house for everybody to meet. I didn't know until after all this happened that she had given my child the keys to her car, in case of emergency, mind you, which I understand. But she's 16. She
Just
knew.
a second. You gave her the keys to your car?
We left the keys at the house because they had the house keys and the car keys. In case of emergency, if the house was on fire, the car needed to be moved.
I told her I was 15 minutes away.
They were
Just to
on
say, Miss
the
Wilson,
kitchen table.
Miss Wilson,
I know.
You're not suggesting to me that it's their fault that your daughter took the car.
No, but...
Good! I didn't think you were.
No, wait a second.
But
they should have known better, though. She knew she didn't have a key. She didn't have a driver's license.
Miss
She
Wilson
barely knew how to drive. She was
Miss
16.
Wilson, do you see my mouth moving?
Your Honor?
Do you see my mouth moving?
Yes, ma'am.
The fact that items may have turned up missing in that house may have absolutely nothing to do with you. However, don't even suggest to me that you think in some warped way that it's her fault that your daughter got behind the wheel of a car and drove her friends around at 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't tell me it's somebody else's fault that she did the wrong thing. Just pay attention. Pay attention. It's not somebody else's fault. It's her fault. It may not be your fault, but it's her fault, not
She
hers.
helped create the situation by giving her the key. She's 16. Who's the adult? Her or her? She should have known better. If I had somebody watching my house, I already know the story. She doesn't have a driver's license. It's 2 teenagers.
Just a
I am
second.
not
You
going
see
to
this
hand her
table?
the key.
You see this table?
Got it.
Do you remember the title of my second book?
Beauty fades, dumb is forever?
That's the title. You don't get it. It's not her fault.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So what you're saying is you don't trust your daughter. You don't trust your daughter not to succumb to temptation and to do the wrong thing. Is that what you're telling me?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda and George Skinner are suing Natasha Wilson for the cost of 7 rifles. The Skinners claim the guns were stolen while Natasha's daughter was watching the house.
Let's say she didn't hand her the car keys and the house keys all on one ring, but your daughter went into her dresser drawer and found the keys. You would be standing there saying to me, she should have taken her keys with her. She's a 16-year-old girl. You can't expect a 16-year-old girl to be responsible enough not to succumb to temptation and use a car. That's really what you're saying to me, right?
I think
is that what you're saying? Just answer me yes or no. I don't need a whole speech from you. Okay. Well, then if that's what you thought, you shouldn't have said that your daughter was responsible enough to stay in her home and be paid. Because if someone can't be trusted, I don't care if they're 10 or 12 or 14 or 16, they can't be trusted. So what you're saying is you don't trust your daughter. You don't trust your daughter not to succumb to temptation and to do the wrong thing. Is that what you're telling me? Is that the way you were brought up? Well,
no,
that's
ma'am,
unfortunate.
I was not brought up that way.
That's unfortunate. If you don't trust your daughter not to do the right thing, then you should not say to these people, my daughter is responsible enough to stay in your home. Because the car is one thing, but there are other things in the home. There were 3 animals there, and if she's not responsible enough not to use a car that she's not been given permission to use, she's not responsible enough to make sure that 3 animals are taken care of. So that if you had some idea that your daughter was irresponsible, you should have told her, I'm sorry, my 16-year-old daughter is not responsible. I will not allow her to stay in your home. You didn't say that. You led her to believe your daughter was responsible enough to oversee.
But there were conditions to that, though.
I'm speaking, was responsible enough to oversee her home and her dogs. That still doesn't make you liable. All I'm doing now is giving you a hard time because you don't get it through your head that it's not her fault, but her fault. We understand each other? Good. Now we understand each other. Now, you also found that other items were missing.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Items were missing, such as some rifles.
Yes, ma'am.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
She's not responsible. She's responsible, but she's a minor.
Correct.
You have the ability to select someone responsible to take care of your home. And if you selected her, and if something happened in your home, you can't say her parents are responsible. You can't.
I would just like to for you to see this, to give you an idea that how long she had somebody in our home.
I don't care. She knew she did the wrong thing. This isn't somebody who's saying to me, I thought I could use it, that it was okay. She knew she did the wrong thing. Only her mother's making excuses. But her mother is not responsible for what she stole, or her friend stole, or somebody else took from the house when she left the house open, when she took her friends home at 4 o'clock in the morning. Her mother's not responsible. And under the law, you can't collect any money from her. So what you have to do, and what everybody has to do, if they decide to leave their home and entrust their home to somebody, you make sure that person is not a minor. So if things come up missing, you have somebody to sue. But you can't say, listen, I have to blame somebody. You have to blame yourself. She's a teenager, and when you leave teenagers in a house, unsupervised, 24 hours a day, trouble happens. I remember leaving my teenage children in a house, and we were just gone for an overnight, and these were not babies. And getting a call that there was a huge party. What kind of party? 35 people in a party. You don't do that. When you leave teenagers in a house, you never know what happens. When they have an empty house, it's party time. You know, the word goes out over the waves. Now they goes over internet. Party time. Bottom line is, you didn't hire her, nor did you pay her. The only arrangement that you had with Miss Wilson was she was going to drop off and pick up her children so that the house would be covered all the time by her children. You have a responsibility to select the right people to take care of your house. If you don't blame somebody else.
Actually, I paid Natasha.
Did you pay her to give to her children? Or did you just give her the money?
I gave her the money to do...
Ms. Skinner, you're pressing it. She was not in charge of your house. Her 16-year-old daughter was in charge of your house. That's who you left in charge of your home.
Yes.
And if you chose to do that, and if she did the wrong thing, her mother is not responsible. You can't sue her. And she's not legally responsible. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel like because she had given her the key, she was able to get in that car, go pick up her friends, and have a little get-together.
Till today, they never admitted that they even left the house or that there was anybody else there besides the two girls.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carroll versus Lampron, step forward, please.
23-year-old sales manager Jeff Carroll is suing ultrasound technician Paula Lampron for damage to his car after he ran over her dog. Paula claims Jeff was speeding. She is countersuing for the death of her pet.
Mr. Carroll, you were driving your car down the street, and it is your claim that the defendant's dog, which was unleashed, slammed into your car, causing damage. Ms. Lampron said that you were speeding. You had to have been speeding down the street. I'm not sure whether you saw him. Is that right?
I didn't see him.
Didn't see him. But you had to have been speeding down the street when you hit her dog, and as a result of that, her dog was killed. I think the dog had to be put to sleep.
Yes, it did.
And you are counterclaiming for the value of the dog.
And the vet bill.
And the vet bills. Okay. Mr. Carroll, describe this street to me. Tell me what it looks like. Is it a highway? Is it a two-lane street, four-lane street?
It's a two-lane street. It's very narrow. It's a residential area. 30 miles an hour is the posted speed limit.
What happened?
I was proceeding at the speed limit, 30 miles an hour down the road, when all of a sudden a loud crash to the passenger side. I looked in my mirrors, I didn't see anything. I pulled over, saw that it was a dog. I was in severe trauma. I saw Paula. She asked me to help. I said, sure. We helped get the dog into the truck.
Into whose truck?
Into the back of her truck. The dog
What kind of a dog was this?
A golden retriever. We got the dog loaded up, and she proceeded to the animal hospital.
And what happened to the animal hospital?
And the veterinarian helped me get it out of the truck. He said the injury was extremely severe, and he would do anything he could to save her. He called me and told me that there'd be no chance of her recovery, and she was
What
in
was she
severe
doing without a
pain.
leash, Miss Lampron?
I have two golden retrievers, mother and son. That was the mother, and I was just leaving my house to do errands. Both dogs were sitting by the side of my truck, waiting to get in.
Unleashed?
Yes, but on my property.
But unleashed?
Yes, and they don't run. They're under my control. However, the female dog is very obsessed with her ball, and she had a ball in her mouth. The ball dropped out, and she ran to the end of the driveway to catch it, to get her ball. And it just happened in a split second.
Well, the end of your driveway is not where this happened. He wasn't driving in your driveway.
No, he wasn't driving in my driveway,
Right,
but he
so
was
with
driving
the
very
ball-
close to the road, and I have pictures of the end of my driveway where my dog was. My dog was not out in the middle of the street, Your Honor.
He didn't say it was out in the middle of the street. The dog hit his car as it was coming down the street. Can I see the photographs of the damage to your car?
It's actually photographs of her property as well with it.
What kind of car is this, sir?
It's a Toyota Supra,
What year?
1993,
What's your deductible?
$500.
You still have the car?
No, I do not, actually.
Why not?
I sold it.
When?
Actually, 3 days before I came here, I just got all the bodywork finished. And
You have the paid bill?
no, the deductible covered. I mean, my insurance covered it. You know, basically.
You have the name of the place where you took your car to be fixed?
Custom imports.
You have your insurance paperwork?
Yes, I do.
Let me see it. How much did you sell the car for?
$20,000.
$20,000?
They don't make the car anymore. It had a lot of additions to the car. It wasn't stock.
When did you purchase the car?
2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for the car?
$17,000.
So you made $3,000 on the car.
Not really. I put a lot more into it over the 2 years.
This is an estimate, is that right?
No, that's what I got from my insurance company.
Okay. Custom imports.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you took the car to be fixed?
Yes.
You know anybody who works there?
Yep. Tori is who I deal with.
And in what month did you have this car fixed?
It was April.
What made you wait from January to April?
I had to save some money.
And so you actually paid the $500 deductible?
Yes, I did.
And who did you pay that to?
To the custom imports.
And how did you pay them?
Cash.
Really? You gave them cash? You have a receipt from them that you gave them $500 in cash?
No, I did not.
Why not? Didn't they give you a receipt when you paid the bill?
Not really. It's kind of a friend who did it.
You understand where I'm going with
Yes,
you, sir?
yes.
You got my drift?
Yes.
Perfect. As long as we understand each other. You know what my father used to say?
You want me to grab one out of the air? What he used to say?
He used to say to me, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Okay.
Your dog hit his car. Your dog was off the leash. It's your fault. That's it. Unless you can establish to my satisfaction, which you can't because you didn't see him, that he was exceeding the speed limit and that is the reason that this happened. And it really isn't. But the reason it happened is that your dog was off the leash. Because your dog hit his car, the side of his car, according to this. I see some damage in the picture that he handed me that had nothing to do with the dog. Certainly, Bird, this doesn't look like it had anything to do with the dog, right?
No.
Right? The dent, maybe, but not this part.
Right.
Right. So, you understand, you have no claim, no legitimate claim against the plaintiff. And since the plaintiff, even if I believed what he said about taking it to his friend Tori at this place, who's a good friend who took care of the car for him, and he actually paid him $500 in cash for which he has no receipt, I find that he made $3,000 on the car, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all he's going to make. Case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a journeyman carpenter.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant had dated. He got himself arrested for falling behind in his child support. You agreed to bail him out. The bail was $1,100. I don't know if that was the bail or what he owed him back child support. What was it?
It was what was owed.
So she gave you the money to support your child.
Yes.
How old is your child?
She is 7.
Does she live with you?
No, she lives with her parent, or her other parent.
So you paid his portion of his child support so that he could get out of jail, $1,100, with the following arrangement. And the arrangement was that since he didn't have money, he was going to fix your father's roof.
Yes.
Is that right?
That was the agreement, yes, after I got out of jail.
And once you got out of jail, you did not fix her father's roof. And you have what you consider the perfect defense for why you didn't fulfill your end of your obligation. So, sir, Officer Bird and I are all ears.
All right. The main reason why I'm not going to pay her back now, or didn't think that I owed her any money.
Listen, I want you to start this way so that you really don't irritate me. The reason that I believe I have a legitimate defense,
All right.
not the reason I'm not going to pay it back now or never.
All right. The reason I do not believe I need to owe her this amount of money is I get laid off every winter. Well, unemployment only pays a percentage of my child support, so...
Listen to me. Because you're in construction and things got slow and you got laid off, there are other kinds of jobs that you can do if you have a 7-year-old child that you have to support, other than collecting unemployment. You can wait tables, you can wash dishes, you can collect cans. There are a lot of other things that you do. So I have no sympathy for you.
Well,
so get to your defense.
Okay, my defense is afterwards she ended up going out, unbeknownst to me, she found out where my ex-wife lived. And me and my ex-wife, we had a vehicle that was purchased with us together for me to ride back and forth to work when we were married. Well, my ex-wife made an arrangement with me to sign it over into my name, and I was driving it back and forth to work, getting ready to assume payments. Well, before even a month went by, Michelle, she ended up filing a suit against me.
On what date did she bail you out? Did she pay your child
I don't
support?
remember the exact date.
What month?
May 12th.
And on what date did you start to work on her father's roof?
I haven't yet because I was trying to...
And on what date did you file this lawsuit?
I believe it was July 3rd.
So between May 12th, when you got out of jail, and July 3rd, you hadn't started working on her father's roof.
No, because I was working at my job.
Who cares?
She made it an explicit comment, don't worry about it, do it when you have time. Exact words out of her mouth.
I still don't hear it. Do you hear a defense anywhere?
Well, inadvertently,
anywhere
she
in
ended up
this
making me
stew,
lose this vehicle, so I ended up missing 8 days of work.
How did she cause you to lose the vehicle?
She went to my ex-wife's house, and my ex-wife became furious, took the vehicle back, and just decided to sell it or do whatever. I have documentation from my boss.
Who cares whether you lost 8 days of work? I don't care whether if you lost 8 days of work, you should have done her father's roof. Then you fulfill your obligation.
No vehicle means no transportation to go do a job.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Are you telling me that you stayed in your house for 8 days? You had enough food and water and sustenance, you didn't go out of your house?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I had no vehicle to go nowhere, so that means I did not go anywhere.
Did you call her father and say, I don't have a car, come and pick me up, and I'll come over and do your roof all day?
No, I only talked to Michelle.
You know, you have an excuse for everything. You have an excuse for why you didn't pay child support. You have an excuse for why you didn't fulfill your obligation pursuant to your agreement with her. You have an excuse why you can't get out of bed in the morning.
I get up 4:30 every morning and go to work.
Then if you went to work at your other job, and if you didn't want to go and fix her father's roof, you give her back her $1,100. Let me put it to you this way, sir. Between 5/12 and 7/3, if you didn't go and fix her father's roof, how much did you pay her back each week of the $1,100?
0.
You got my drift.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you talked about an ex-wife, sir. Is that the person who was the mother of your 7-year-old?
No, she is not.
Do you have a child with that person?
No, I do not.
And that's your only child, I assume?
That is my only child.
Thank God for small favors.
And later today,
You say that you loaned the cosmetics case to the defendant. It was yours. She won't return it. She says it's her case. And Bird really cares about this.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Davis says when ex-boyfriend Charles Diemenkowski was arrested for unpaid child support, she helped him out and paid off the debt.
Now listen to me. You know what your problem is? Your problem is you made a stupid deal. I wouldn't want him fixing my roof.
I don't want him to fix it.
Well, I know you don't want to, but that was the agreement you made.
Right, because...
Miss Davis, that was the agreement that you made with him. That was very dumb.
I know.
So I have to be able to look at the facts here and say, do I have confidence that if I direct this man to fulfill his obligation to do your father's roof pursuant to your agreement that he's going to do it? And am I going to stand over him with a whip to make sure he does it? The answer is, I'm not going to do that. So I have to find some balance. I have to find some way of making you whole because he's full of baloney. Right? He's got every excuse under the sun. He's a user. Now, you talked about an ex-wife, sir. Is that the person who was the mother of your 7-year-old?
No, she is not.
Do you have a child with that person?
No, I do not.
And that's your only child, I assume?
That is my only child.
Thank God for small favors. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. I wouldn't let him fix my roof. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He told me not to call him anymore, and his roommate threatened me.
She only went out for one reason, to go be vindictive to my ex-wife.
This is his ex-wife, and we're friends, and I didn't cause a problem.
She never met my ex-wife before this, ever.
I think he's a user.
Hopefully never see him again, big black wall, that'll be fine.
Just be careful who you trust.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Branlund versus Evans. Step forward, please.
19-year-old makeup artist Sarah Branlund is suing her ex-best friend, 19-year-old Angela Evans, for the return of her makeup case.
All right, this major case is all about a cosmetics case. A whole bunch of makeup. You say that you loaned the cosmetics case to the defendant. It was yours. She won't return it. She says it's her case. And Bird really cares about this. Where's the case?
The case is with me.
I'd like to see it.
Me too.
Oh. Here's the pictures. The pictures are here.
That's all you got? I'll take a look at pictures.
And it's just the one that the arrow's pointing to.
Okay. I assume that this is your business. You either sell or promote or do something with these, because these look like makeup testers. Is that right?
Correct.
Freebies given away by somebody. Tell me how it's yours. Tell me how she got possession of it.
Me and Angie both worked at Macy's, and for a selling drive, sometimes we would be able to get other things in return for selling an amount of products. Angie worked for Lancome. I worked for Shiseido. Scott, the cosmetic manager at Macy's, did give us Lancome cases because we achieved a high amount of...
When you said us, what do you mean us? The two of you?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So to be able to actually be able to take out something out of the department, we get an exit pass at Macy's. It's right here. It's the receipt showing that the foundation case and an eyeshadow case was given to me. Here's a picture of an eyeshadow case, and it describes below all the items in the foundation case. which I do still have items of that I didn't actually let her borrow because they were my colors of my skin.
Okay, so let me get this straight. What you're showing me is when you walk out of the store where you work, you have to have something that shows that you're not stealing
Exactly,
anything.
yes.
Okay. And this is showing me that you didn't steal what you walked out with.
Yes.
When was this? August of '02. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And according to this picture, there are some foundations missing, and according to you lent her the foundation kit absent the stuff that you use because you use it, so you didn't want to have that out of your possession. You use it for your own personal use.
Exactly.
Okay, when did you lend it to her?
And around May of 2003. It was for a wedding that she was about to do.
Well, tell me about it.
Me and her were really good friends, and we worked together on different makeup events. And so we always tried to help each other out. And so I let her borrow the foundation case because she didn't actually have a foundation case. She has a blush, lipstick, and other etc.
When did you ask for it back?
It was actually after the argument that we had. We had a very, very bad argument. It was just kind of like girl stupid stuff, I guess. And we were at her house when we had the argument. I drove off very mad. And then when I realized that when I drove off that she still had my foundation case, and so I let my boyfriend call her and tell her that I would like that back, and we can also exchange clothes, that me and her sometimes borrowed clothes from each other.
This is the boyfriend?
Yes.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Hans Swanberg.
When did you call Miss Evans?
On the night that they got in a fight.
Do you know what day that was?
Yes, I do. It was May 14th.
And what did you say to Miss Evans when you called her?
Well, I tried to be smooth at first because my goal was to get the makeup case back.
I asked you what you said to her.
I said that I understand that you got in a fight, and I'm sure you guys will get over it because they've had fights in the past and they always get over it. And I said, I understand that you have some items of Sarah's, and I said specifically the makeup case, and she said, yes, I do have that. And then I also said that Sarah has some of your items too, like clothes, and I asked if she wanted to meet to exchange those items because Sarah did not want to go meet her because they had gotten in a fight and she did not want to see her.
And what did Miss Evans say?
She agreed to meet the following day, and I was to call her sometime when I was at work and discuss when we were going to meet that night.
And did you?
I did.
And what happened when you called?
Her friend answered the phone, and she said Angie wasn't available, at which point I heard laughter in the background, a female voice and a male voice, and then they just hung up.
Okay. Is there any other evidence that you want to present
No.
to me? Good. Perfect. Sit down. Now I'll hear you.
Okay. As she said, I worked for Lancome. She worked for Shiseido. We were getting new tester units in, so my manager, whom I have here today, Connie Noel, divided the tester units between myself and another coworker of Lancome. Not Shiseido, because they usually don't cross-sign out products to different people. And so I took them home, and I use them for different events, such as weddings, and I've done like a photo shoot and stuff with them. And basically,
Try looking at me.
I let her borrow the foundation unit.
Tell me how that happened.
Well, she said that she wanted to borrow the unit, and I said, yeah, you can have it for a period of time. I gave the unit to her.
When was this?
That was about a month after I took the units home, around September.
And when did she return the unit to you?
I got it back. She had it for a while.
Yeah.
I got it back the end of April, because I did the wedding in July. It was my cousin's wedding.
You want to say anything to me before I ask her any other questions?
Sure.
Tell me your name.
I'm Connie Noel. As her manager, I professionally dispersed them. She got them put together, and I told her...
What do you mean she got them put together?
Well,
what
we
is
had
that?
them in the back stock area, and I told her to get them together, the ones that she wished to take, and that she should take them up to her car. So she took them out to her car.
Which testers did she take out to her car?
The 5 that are showing on the picture.
And which ones did the plaintiff take?
I didn't give her any.
Why is that?
Well, she doesn't work for Lancome. She worked for Shiseido.
And these are all Lancome products?
Correct.
Interesting. Becomes a little more complicated. Why would they give you Lancome products if you work for Shiseido?
I understand that Scott did give us these units without Connie knowing, actually. I don't think he wanted her to know that Lancome things were going to other people.
Scott worked for you?
He was the general cosmetic manager, so he was my manager also.
He was your manager also?
Yes.
Have a seat.
He didn't work there.
Now it's getting better. So it's like a puzzle. Ms. Evans, you got this back in April. Did you continue to be friends and work
yes.
together?
Yeah.
In April?
Mm-hmm. We were friends up until. Can I give you a little briefing?
No.
No.
I just want you to answer my question.
Okay.
Were you friends in April?
Yes.
When she gave you back the tester unit?
Correct. Yep.
Ms. Evans, let me tell you what I think your problem is, at least your problem with me. It is clear to me from the photograph that you presented to me that a substantial number of products are missing. Makeup is missing. And if I were going to do a wedding, I would want to make sure that I had all my products with me from the tester, just in case I needed them. You got this tester back in April, and you continued to be her friend in April up until May when you had an argument about something else wholly unrelated to the tester. Correct. Right?
Correct.
Donald Trump is an American businessman, television personality, and politician who served as the 45th President of the United States from 2017 to 2021. Here is a brief overview of his life and career, early life and education. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York City. He is the fourth of 5 children of real estate developer Fred Trump. Donald attended the New York Military Academy and later graduated with a degree in economics from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania in 1968. Business career. Trump joined his father's real estate business, which he later renamed the Trump Organization. He became known for developing and branding high-profile real estate properties, including Trump Tower in Manhattan, casinos in Atlantic City, and luxury hotels and golf resorts around the world. He gained celebrity status with his role as host of the reality TV show The Apprentice from 2004 to 2015. Political career. Trump entered politics as a Republican and announced his candidacy for president in 2015. Running a populist and nationalist campaign, he won the Republican nomination and defeated Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election. His presidency focused on tax cuts and deregulation, strict immigration policy, trade protectionism, e.g., tariffs on China, judicial appointments, including 3 Supreme Court justices, controversies and impeachments. Trump's presidency was marked by deep political polarization and controversy. He was impeached twice by the House of Representatives, first in 2019 over his dealings with Ukraine, and again in 2021 after the January 6 Capitol riot. He was acquitted both times by the Senate. Post-presidency, after losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden, Trump refused to concede and falsely claimed widespread voter fraud. He remains a dominant figure in the Republican Party and announced another presidential run for the 2024 election. He also faces multiple legal investigations and criminal charges related to business practices, handling of classified documents, and the 2020 election.